It's time for the Jay Foreman Postgame Show.
Here's Coy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Look to the left, and he kind of telegraphed it all the way. And the ball was tipped. Foreman's in the right spot.
Sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinnie Creek Cat, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and Action Plumbing, heating, AC, and electrical.
Here's Valenti dropping back, fires a pass, and it's intercepted by the Huskers at the 25, Jay Foreman. And Foreman takes it down to the 19-yard line of Oklahoma. Another big play by the Black Shirts.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are we on?
We are.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at in Boulder. Myself, Nick Sainert, my partner, trying our best to keep our head on straight. We're at the Blur party. They did a pregame show. Then obviously it goes, I think, until 5, so another few hours. I'm sure the Nebraska fans are going to drink away their sorrows.
I don't blame them.
There's going to be straight drinks and no chasers.
Yeah.
Look, it goes without saying, it's disappointing. I mean, it's 36-14. The last 7 points they pretty much gave you, but we'll take them as we can. Another abysmal performance, I guess, from the offense, and it's not necessarily. There's some things that were bright spot. I felt like the offensive line, ran the ball or run block pretty well. At times, pass block pretty well. Just like last week, I felt like they were a better run blocking team today. You saw Gabe Irvin get loose a little bit, and you saw, obviously, Ramir do his thing. But I think ultimately the turnovers, untimely turnovers, and just the amount of turnovers, along with the plays that were like that lead to they compound a lot of plays, Nick. So, it was 2nd and 4. Then you get a false start, I think, by Piper, and then another play, a holding or whatever after that. Well, then you just double negative any type of momentum that you have. And so they have to find a way to get out of their own way.
Yeah.
Now, whether, everybody's going to point to the quarterback, and that's fine, rightfully so, right? You look, at this point in time, you're in a Power 5 school. First of all, if you're in any school, you got to be able to take care of the football. And that's one of the unique qualities that I think is not thought of enough when you evaluate quarterbacks is taking care of the ball and being smart with it. And it hasn't happened the last 2 games. And so, really what needs to happen now is that you got to evaluate everybody. You got to evaluate that, play calling. You can't sit there and think like, okay, we're going to be able to do quarterback run the whole game because we had a 57-yard run. You'd like to see, I saw some bootleg and stuff like that. That was good. But you got to think, if you only can do 2 or 3 things, the teams are going to be able to focus in on you.
Yeah.
That's where the change in the game went. Colorado was able to adjust to what they were doing well and straight up stifle them. And along with Nebraska helping them stifle them, but they were able to, bow up a little bit more against the run, force them into some unlikely situations for success, and end up obviously winning the game by 22 points, and actually it was probably 29 points. What are your thoughts on what they should do? I know you had some pretty strong, X's or tweets or whatever you call them.
Yeah. I guess one thing I will say, I really liked the way Nebraska came out and ran the ball.
They did.
They came out and ran the ball extremely well, especially with Gabe Irvin. We talked in the pregame show,
right,
and I said something along the lines of Gabe Irvin needs at least 15 carries if they wanted Nebraska to be in this game. Jay, Gabe Irvin carried the ball 14 times for 67 yards in the first half.
Right.
He had 1 carry in the third quarter and 2 carries in the fourth quarter.
Right.
I understand you were playing from maybe behind a little bit in the second half, but you want to talk about we talked about it last week with Minnesota, is that Gabe Irvin had 7 carries for 77 yards last week against Minnesota, but didn't have the ball enough. They finally came out and gave Gabe Irvin the ball plenty of times in the first half. Found success in it, and then once again went away from it in half number 2, and that was still while the game was 13-7.
Right. Well, I also, Nick, I guess to the counter that, the last fumble, I guess, that Jeff Sims had was on a Gabe Irvin. And then also you got to think Ramir was doing, was in there as well. I do agree with you. You'd like to see him stick to the run, but when you should at worst case scenario,
Yeah.
go in down 3-0, you go down 10-0. Colorado gets the ball, or maybe it was 13-0 at the end of the first half.
It was
13-0. There's 10 extra points that changes your whole game plan and how you got to go about it, because you do have to pass, and that's what Colorado wanted to do. Look, Colorado will tell you they were not in rhythm on offense. Now, I think Nebraska's defense had a lot to do with that. I think the defense right now is letting you know that they're legit.
Yeah.
They were able to, get to the quarterback like you'd like. They did a really good job, for the most part against the run. They really were physical with, the Colorado skill position guys and really, stymie that offense. But, there's only so much you can play defense like that when you're constantly with your back against the wall in bad situations, sudden change with turnovers, so forth and so on with that high-powered offense with next-level talent. So, ultimately they got to go back to the drawing board. And, look, they made the decision. Listen, I understand what people are saying about Jeff Sims versus Casey and who should be playing, whether, Chuba Purdy and Heinrich Harburg. But at the end of the day, those three guys are who you chose, right?
Yeah.
Right? So now, yes, you probably would think, okay, I'd like something different. But that isn't – you made the choice, so now you have to figure out a way, because you owe it to everybody on the team that's not playing like offense or not playing quarterback or not playing whatever position, to put this team in the best position to win. Now, if you have to platoon all three quarterbacks one series at a time until one really steps up, then so be it. Because having one going out there is showing you 8 turnovers in 2 games.
Yeah. Well, and
that's a pattern.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is that at one point it was 6 turnovers in 6 quarters.
Right. Now you
and once again, it's if you're allowing it, you're somewhat promoting it.
Sure.
In a way.
And
what I want to say is I did tweet something along the lines of Jeff Sims needs to be taken out for a moment. It doesn't have to be permanent. It doesn't have to be permanent. What we saw a couple years ago with Adrian Martinez, he had turnover issues, bad decision making. He got pulled for a half at Northwestern, came back, ended up helping Nebraska win the game.
Right.
It doesn't need to be permanent, but there was definitely a moment about halfway through that second quarter where Jeff Sims was rattled. Sure. And he just needed to be settled down.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you want it so bad that it works the other way. I mean, there hasn't been a quarterback that hasn't been. I don't want to use the word bench, because bench is like you're just permanently replaced. But you've had to be pulled out before. I've had it to be pulled out when I was playing defense. There's other quarterbacks had to be pulled out. I mean, Tommy Frazier is the greatest quarterback of all time, arguably. And he had to be, in constant competition with Brooke Behringer, and Scott Frost did as well, and Eric Crouch did as well. It happens. That's the hardest. That's what makes the position so valuable.
Yeah.
And you have to value that position, and also coach it that way, because not how you're coaching and decision making with how you're nurturing that position is also being watched by other people on your team, right? And so you got to be able to do that, because right now you got a defense right now that legitimately has played well enough to win the last 2 games, and have walked around and literally walked away with nothing. You have an offense that essentially scored 17 points in the last 2 games. And look, the defense today, they had 7 sacks, man. 7 sacks.
I was just going to tell you, 7 sacks and 11 tackles for loss.
Yeah, I mean,
they bowed up on 4th and short, on 3rd and short, countless times.
Right, yeah. I mean, you got to think. So, and that's with your back against the wall. Now, I think Tony White had a really good game plan. They executed as well, but they were extremely physical with Colorado. It shook Colorado. And you saw they were not just laying back in defense. When they had a chance to go forward and make plays, they did it. And, where they're at right now is a unique place, because I don't think anybody by any means is going to, cash it in. But, we know Jeff Sims is banged up a little bit, but you owe it to everybody on the team. You got to take another look. You got to see if these guys behind them have gotten better in some form or fashion to possibly split some time.
Not having a quarterback competition in the off season, does that hurt? We know that Nebraska lost a lot of talent from that quarterback room.
Right.
Some of it was unproven, and Logan Smothers moving on and Richard Torres moving on. We also kind of have the idea that there wasn't a whole lot of quarterback competition for the starting job, right?
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Sims was a starter.
He was.
And, as time goes on, you got to keep proving yourself. You got to keep that edge. You got to be internally motivated. And it's not saying that he is or isn't, motivated, but, he knows he has some issues with turnovers. At the end of the day, you can't drop a snap, right? Twice. But at the end, when you're thinking about this, you're a quarterback. You have to be the best ball handler on the team. You're handling the ball every single play. You have to be dang near perfect with that if you're going to run this type of offense. And so, he knows he needs to rectify it. They have to come up with some sort of drills or whatever to make sure that, he's getting better at it. And he's got to go out and execute. And it's he's in a hard place right now. And it's not a lack of, want to. I don't think he's going out there and wanting to play bad, but you're not playing that well. I mean, you can you can take or give or take the 57-yard run, but at the end of the day, you're playing quarterback. You got to be able to play pitch and catch in some form or fashion. You got to be able to lead this team. That's what you brought here for. This is what you wanted. The offense is obviously going to be centered around you, and you got to make it go. I mean, I would say the highs are high. The highs of the highs and the lows are in lows. It's too much in between. There's nothing in between.
It's a roller coaster. There's no consistency.
Right. And there's nothing like, okay, well, this is average, because you saw he got Billy Kemp going and the offense looked pretty good. But then when he starts going downhill, man, there is no stop button. And then, pause button, nothing in between. And so the turnovers, you can't do that. You can't do that. We are not as talented as Colorado, especially on the offensive skill position. So that going into the game, that's not changing. But that doesn't mean you can't win. So when you have a razor thin, no leeway for margin for error, you can't go in there and be careless with the football. Period.
Yeah,
you can't be, man. You cannot have the ball on the ground at all. Running back, receiver, especially a quarterback when you're in the shotgun. The first thing that you do before you even go into a read, you have got to catch the ball clean.
Well, and I mean, not to just continue to pile on Jeff Sims, although that's a big discussion point. It's going to be talked about for the week, because now we talk about the inconsistencies. Well, he's consistently turning the ball over through his first two games, right? That's the one consistency that we can say and that we can point to, that there's tangible evidence of that. Another instance was a drop ball. Alex Bullock had a wide open, a good throw from Jeff Sims across the middle of the field in a crucial spot of the game. Yeah. Nebraska they scored the touchdown. I believe at this time it was 20-7. Colorado was up by 2 scores.
Right.
And Nebraska, they had an opportunity on 3rd and long. Great ball.
Great play call.
Yes.
Great ball. Great execution.
Alex Bullock just missed it.
Yeah, dropped it. You got to make plays, man. I mean, you're a wide receiver. Garrett McGuire puts you out there because he trusts you. That doesn't mean he's not losing all trust. But when you get in the game, you got to make plays, man.
Yep. No, I completely agree.
And as much as we talk about Jeff Sims need to make plays or do the simple things, the receivers, when you have that much separation, because the play call was really good and executed to the point that where he had some pretty good space in between him and the defender. You got to make that catch, man. And I'm a firm believer looking at it and telling him, dude, you're too good to be playing like this. I would tell Jeff Sims, man, you're too good of an athlete, too good of a player to be out here playing like this. You're not representing yourself right. So what do we have to do? Because I'm in this with you together to get this right, because ultimately the better that you play is going to be better for the team. Right now, the way you've played has not helped the team.
Well, and that's what I'm getting. I mean, so looking forward now, if you're Jeff Sims or if you're Marcus Satterfield, where do you go from here? Because it feels like all you can go is up. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can't get much worse than what we've seen the last 8 quarters of football, or 7.5 quarters of football from Jeff Sims. So where do you go from here? What's next step? Because you can only, as a coaching staff, and this is kind of where I'm getting at, Jay, there's only so many times that you can say we're gonna continue to stick with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I wouldn't put him on the milk carton, right yet. I mean, we're 2 games into a 12-game season, and he hasn't started as well as he'd like. I would definitely be, getting some other guys some reps now. And that's to be honest. And that's what you should do. You know what I mean? And that's the way it should go. And so You want to keep Jeff Sims at the starter. I totally understand, because I would like to think that Jeff Sims had done enough and built up enough leeway that he deserves another chance and when healthy, to go out there and play well. But ultimately, I put the pressure back on Jeff Sims, along with Marcus Satterfield would be in there lock and step with him to get him better at some of the things. And really, it's like whether it's asking Jeff Sims to tell me what plays are the ones that he feels the most comfortable with. What is he thinking, or what goes through his mind when he doesn't catch the ball? Is it something that happens in practice and you rectify it? And, really, to be honest with you, you might have to go, spend time after practice, snapping and catching the ball, because it's obviously a problem, and it's messing up the timing in the offense. And it's not all a Jeff Sims problem. It's an offensive problem. And, we got some production out of the tight end today. We need more. We need some more production out of our outside receivers after, Billy Kemp did it. I think Marcus Washington was pretty much locked down today. You saw some young guys in there, Malachi Coleman and all them, but ultimately, our offense wasn't able to really get going, because when we started to really establish the run game, especially in the first half, we went right before the second quarter. Right before the second quarter was over, we lost all momentum.
Yeah.
And so that then it just comes back to turning the ball over, in the offensive side, whether it's the interception, fumble, you just can't do that. Just like the one time we were driving down there and we fumbled a snap.
Yeah.
Like, these are things that are controllable. Catching the ball. You even got sacked right there. We're in field goal range.
Well, that's the thing, is it looked like Jeff Sims was trying to make a play still. He tried to grab it with one hand on that first and second botch snap. They also in the plays that he's calling motion, right? The tight end moving from one side. Is that on Jeff Sims, or is that a timing issue? What explain that to us?
Well, I don't think the mesh of that play was obviously executed. I think it got in the vision of Jeff Sims both times. The 3 or 4 times that they ran that type of motion, it never worked out well. So it's probably a play they need to either go, put on the back burner, or really get to work on it. But yes, it probably got in Jeff Sims' vision. But ultimately, Jeff Sims needs to hold the ball, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mentioned the one where I was discussing the one Luke Lindenmeyer goes from the left side, hits him. Is that a timing issue, or what is going on there?
It's a timing issue. But even when they tried to run the ball out of that type of motion,
it never was successful.
It never was successful. So you need to put that either in the garbage or put on the back burner. It just didn't work. It wasn't an effective play. The mesh wasn't, and the timing wasn't good. So either go back and work on the timing, or put it on the bench, because you had some good momentum with the running game and kind of short passing game. So you need to really focus on that. And really, jump on the back of the offensive linemen, because they were starting to move guys and do stuff. Now you need a little bit better. I mean, you can't have the one where the sack, Colorado, when they start getting, cranked up, where, Ethan Piper got smoked. You can't have those. I mean, you play good enough, all the other, time in the game in the quarters, you can't have that.
Yeah, one side of the ball that did play well was Nebraska's defense. We'll talk about them here in a second. It's also, disappointing to go into the half scoreless. Tristan Alvano misses a field goal that is within his range. We saw that, just unfortunately hit the upright, was just a tad to the right. And so that was an empty possession that Nebraska got down into scoring position for.
Yeah, points are paramount, man. We need to execute. Now, whether you're a freshman kicker or not, I don't care what you did in high school, man. I'm not trying to be a bearer of bad news, man. The kicker last year was decent. Yeah. Somehow, some way, you beat him out. Well, your job is to make the kick. Well, period. Make the kick. I don't give a dang where you're at.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a way there that Nebraska, if it wasn't for botched snaps and turnovers and miscues, they're actually leading that at halftime 13-0. Yeah. There is a very good chance. And why? Because Nebraska's defense was playing so well. We already mentioned it. 7 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. In the first half, without Ty Robinson, Cameron Lenhart really stepped up, had 2 sacks in the first half.
That was one of the biggest questions that we had in our pregame show. Who's going to replace him and the production? I think all of them did, but Cam Lenhart really showed why he was a recruit that Matt Rule and them felt like they had to get, recommitted after, he decommitted. And, he's done everything that's been asked of him and then some. I think Felton Nash played well. I felt Ty was effective when he got in there.
Yeah.
Cam played well. Blaze was active. So, the defense is walking away knowing that they played good enough to win. But, really now we got to really crank up the pressure on the defense. Say, look, now we're going to need some turnovers from you. And that's the way it goes, man. It just sucks, but that's just the way it is right now.
Well, and that's one thing. I mean, Nebraska struggles, although their defense was really good today, struggle to force turnovers. Javen Wright had a ball that went right between his two hands on a play that got a first down for Colorado. That was a big missed opportunity. You just don't see him poke out fumbles and a whole lot and things like that. But nonetheless, Nebraska's defense did play pretty well today. I mean, the four guys that went over for 100 yards last week against TCU held relatively in check.
Yeah.
Xavier Weaver was the one that got to Nebraska, 10 catches, 170 yards. But outside of that, outside of Weaver, it's Horn had 64. Hunter, the two-side phenom, had 73 yards. That big one that he may have extended the arm a little bit, but it's, it is what it is. It was held to 73 yards. And then Dylan Edwards held to 3 catches for 8 yards and only 55 yards on the ground. I mean, Nebraska's defense, besides the play where they were down 13-7 and they sent the house and Tommy Hill got beat on the deep route on that third down and short. Besides that play, Nebraska's defense played really well.
It did. And, really it was a good call. I mean, Tommy Hill just got lost in, translation where he didn't even really cover the guys. So, I think the defense for 2 weeks in a row has played good enough to win. And they need to, they need to capitalize on this defensive effort because it's only going to get harder as they go. And, yes, Northern Illinois is going to be a tough test, but we're in no position to assume that it's just going to go our way. We got to go make our way. And Colorado, to them, if you want to take something from them, they didn't play well, but they stuck to it. And then they got some rhythm and then they put us away and they put the nail in the coffin, stepped on your throat, whatever you want to think of. And we just have not got there yet. And, we need better quarterback play. We need to have more continuity, in the rhythm of the offense and things will change. But, ultimately the turnovers and the penalties have to be nullified because when you are superior talented like Colorado, I wouldn't say you're okay with the penalties, but, you can come back from it.
Yeah.
When you are not as talented as the team that you're playing, the penalties are almost equivalent of 2. And that means you're out of that series and so forth and so on because we don't have any dynamic playmakers as of yet. And even when we do get the chance to get it to them, we end up dropping it or do something else. So, it's a lot for them to regurgitate because they had a lot of positives, especially in that first, quarter and a half. And then they have a lot of negatives that they got to deal with. And so they need to approach 2 with the same type of intensity and openness, and then they'll be able to make big strides before next week. But, no, that's our first segment, right, Nick?
Yep.
Yeah, it's our first segment here. Jay Foreman After Game Show. We're out here in Boulder at Blur After Party. It's we at Jay Foreman Postgame Show. That was brought to you by Action Plumbing, Heating and AC and Electrical, helping home and business owners in and around Lincoln for half a century. Action offers a full range of heating and cooling services, as well as plumbing repairs, maintenance, and remodeling. We appreciate their support and being a sponsor for the Jay Foreman After Game Show. So with that being said, we're going to go to break and we're going to come back and we're going to think about special teams. How special they were, along with a little bit of talking to defense or a lot of talk about the defense. Jay Foreman, Nick Sainer, we'll be right back.
Get ready for an unforgettable night at Ignite Lincoln 15. On September 14th, Rococo Theater will come alive with captivating stories from diverse voices that inspire change and spark connection. You'll hear from 12 passionate speakers, including our 5 nonprofit finalists, who are making a real impact. Be part of this remarkable event that celebrates the power of storytelling. Secure your spot now by purchasing tickets at ignitelincoln.org and join us in creating a brighter future together. Don't miss your chance to experience Ignite Lincoln 15, a night of inspiration, community, and possibility.
What would you tell a friend who was on the fence about going to Limitless Mail?
I would tell them to go to Limitless today. Don't hesitate. You're going to second guess yourself on if it's the right decision. The staff there is amazing. The treatments work. I'm living proof that it can completely change your life for the better.
Join thousands of men who have changed their lives with testosterone treatment. Slow down the aging process and live life. Schedule your free consult at limitlessmail.com.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and they've scouted out the best Kawasaki side-by-side deals for you. Score up to $2,500 off the 2023 Kawasaki Teryx and up to $1,000 off Mule Pro FX and FXCs. Whether you want to handle the toughest task in a trusted, tried and true mule, or looking to dominate adventure in a Teryx, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of Kawasaki side-by-sides in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down. Offer valid 9/30/2023, subject to change without notice. Offer available on approved purchases of select new unregistered Kawasaki vehicles. Model and year exclusions apply. Cannot be combined with promotional retail financing rates.
Great news. I just got the State Farm Personal Price Plan on our home and auto insurance.
You told our agent about my thing for romance novels?
No, you don't have to get that personal. Our agent just helped me choose affordable options to create a personalized price just for us.
Oh, sweet. Then you won't believe the love triangle Jen is in now.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Accelerate your financial journey. With Kasasa Cash, experience the thrill of earning more with each transaction or the freedom to withdraw your cash from any ATM nationwide. Not to mention, no monthly service fees. It's the power of earning up to 5.5% APY on your Kasasa Cash with Liberty First Credit Union. Earn rewards beginning at a penny, continuing up to $40,000. Visit libertyfirstcu.com for details. Federally insured by NCUA. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Account qualifications apply.
Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness specialize in getting rid of people's pain quickly and permanently. For 31 years, they've been extremely successful with advanced techniques in pain relief using spinal adjustments and decompression, detoxification, diet and lifestyle modification, and more. They are fully equipped to handle the most seasonal athlete, weekend warrior, car accidents, strains, sprains, and more. Is there anywhere you're experiencing pain on your body, or are you fighting decreased energy and depression? Consult Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness first at 402-476-8619.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any backyard landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben sandwich or the Prime Rib French dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week. And right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker Highway. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of tons of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Don't allow uninvited guests to take over your home. Trust Bats to Rats for a peaceful and rodent-free living space.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill. Vinnie Creek, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back out here in Boulder, Blur After Party. Jay Foreman, Nick Sainer. This segment is brought to you by Tanner's Bar and Grill. Tanner's is your go-to neighborhood bar and grill in Lincoln at 30th and Yankee Hill. Enjoy the eggy sandwich for just $9.99 all day today in the $4.50 Bloody Marys and $4 aluminum cans. Nick, before
go get yourself an eggy sandwich.
Eggy sandwich. I like the name for it. I need an eggy.
Go get yourself an eggy sandwich
and
a $4 aluminum can.
And a Bloody Mary because after this game you need to get drunk. With that being said, Austin, we have a caller on the line.
I believe we do. Is William still there? Perfect.
All right, put William. William, let's hear what you got to say.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Hey, I gotta say that I'm sorry, man, but our offense is bad. It's just bad, and it's like even if I don't know if a quarterback change is going to do any difference because these are rules guys, and you know he specifically chose Sims for this offense to do whatever they're going to do, and it looks really, really bad. And I mean, it's not going to get any prettier, any easier. Look who we have next. I go, these next two games, you know, maybe 3-4 years ago, scratch that, maybe 10 years ago, I would have said, oh, for sure wins. But right now, we don't know. I see Nebraska going at least 2 wins. It's not going to get easier with this offense. And I just want to know, like, we should, what I expected was at least, like, double tight ends, you know, a more fullback, grind it out. I don't even think we had a fullback. He just got in the way on that one play, but no fullback, like, lead blocks or run. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, thank you, William. Yeah, thanks, William. I mean, I understand what he's saying. The offense he's thinking probably like what a lot of people are thinking is that no matter who you put in there, that the offense isn't suitable to win. But, you know, really, to be honest with you, William, I felt like we ran the ball pretty effectively all day long. We did. I mean, Colorado's going to be good enough to, you know, they're going to be able to scheme up to stop us sometimes. But ultimately, I think in the first half, we ran it, wouldn't say at will, but pretty consistently. And and I felt like that was a huge key to the game. I think the problem, William, and the people out there need to understand is like the, you know, false starts on offense, the holding calls, and then obviously the turnovers that come in and around that stymie any type of offensive success you have. And when you have a quarterback that's struggling, you know, that can't happen. I mean, it just can't. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter. Look, it doesn't matter if Tom Brady was back there. If he had 3 fumbles and there were 8 turnovers in 2 games, we'd probably be 0-2 anyways. And so they got to remedy, you know, the biggest thing which we need to do is remedy what we don't do, what we do to ourselves. We do that, then we can worry about schematics and all that, because right now, if we ran 4 plays for 4 quarters, I don't think the confidence that is there that we wouldn't either turn it over or jump off sides or something like that. So those are the things we need to get back to. And some of the guys that are doing these type of things are your older players, and so that means that, you know, you're going to have to discipline them. And then, you know, you had a younger player, Latovsky went in there at right guard, and he got burned pretty bad. The defense was good but not perfect. You know, there's some things I felt like they could do better, but, you know, ultimately, you know, when we're talking about the offense, we just got to play a lot more consistent. And the consistency for them is not be consistently turning the ball over. So that's what they've done consistently in 2 games, 8 turnovers. That's it, man. It's a turnover a quarter if you want to look at it. So they got to get a lot better at that, and then they got to remedy it right away, because Northern Illinois, they beat Boston College. They're always going to be a tough out. They're seeing blood in the water. So look, you get back here, you know, you get on the flight, you head home to Lincoln, you know, it's right back to work tomorrow or whenever it is, and you got to really address the issues, and you got to get Jeff Sims healthy if he's going to be your starter. If not, Harburg and Purdy have got to get busy.
Yeah, once again, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line is the phone number to call and text during the Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Once again, this segment sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill over on 30th in Yankee Hill. Jay, you going to take another call here real quick?
Yeah, let's take one more call.
Let's
take another call.
Yeah, we got Bruce on the line. Bruce, go ahead. You're on the Jay Foreman Postgame Show.
What you got for us, Bruce?
Hey, what's going on, Nick? Jay. Hey, Jay. I listened to you last week, and I know that you played college, and I know you played in the NFL.
Right.
I just got like one question. Like, can we go back if we're going to use Sims? Can we go back to the way we did maybe back in the '90s or so? Maybe even like we did with Scott Frost. Sims seems like a guy that would be great for like a triple option or just option period. Obviously he scored a touchdown today.
Right.
But do you think we could go back to playing that way? Or is that like that era of football just not going to be, because of the times that we're in?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying because you saw it. That's the ultimate equalizer, right? When you see that. I don't necessarily know if we could go back to the triple option and really survive, a 12-game series in the Big Ten. It could be an option for Jeff Sims particularly because, you accentuate his athletic ability. So I think it's just one of those things that, it needs to be your curveball. You've seen him run some options. I think I saw one or two plays of speed options. So, I think it's something that they could look at to adding and do a little bit more to settle him down. He looks a lot more comfortable running the ball than throwing the ball. But ultimately, when you're running the option, you got to handle the ball as well. So if you're fumbling the ball, off a shotgun, you're going to fumble it eventually. I'm only assuming under the center. So you need to rectify the problem of ball handling first. Then we can think about what offense we run. But I do agree with you. We could add that to it to kind of accentuate what he does and make him more of a factor, and then lessen the burden or lessen the ability to have a turnover. So yeah, it's something that they could do, and they might be for it. But also, I want to tell you, for that type of triple option offense, you have to have 5 linemen that can really run.
Yeah,
and we don't have that. So I like it as a caveat. I don't like it as a full time, but I do like it as an option for Jeff Sims. And look, you know what, Nick? We talked about in the pregame show. One of the things I would do against Colorado is, I said, go 5 wide and run the quarterback.
Yeah.
And they end up scoring 57 yards.
They did. Well, that's what I was going to say. Jeff Sims, 9 of 15, 106 yards through the air. That's good for 60% completion percentage. But on the ground, 10 carries for 67 yards. You take away that 57-yard touchdown score, that's 9 carries for just 10 yards for the quarterback. Now that does include sacks. That does include but that just net yards, 10 carries for 67 yards for the quarterback. So we talk about running the ball. We talk about trusting him with the ball in his hands in open space. There was a moment there on one of his runs for about 10 yards where he had the football way outside. It's the ball security is definitely something that's got to get fixed with the quarterback. But maybe that comes with time. But then once again, this is his 4th year of playing quarterback, and it's game 3 of the season already next week.
This is something that he himself needs to come to terms with.
Yeah.
Right? You have ball handling issues, catching the ball off the snap, running the ball with the right technique, holding on to the ball under pressure, all that stuff. And so, it's becoming a big part of the success of the offense, or lack of success, or the lack of continuity, where you can kind of put drives together or get a little bit closer to make it an easier field goal. Those are the things that you can't. First of all, you're the quarterback, dude. Everybody's looking at you. You're handling the ball every single time that the ball snaps. So at the end of the day, you cannot be a guy that can't even get from point A to point B, you know what I mean, to get a play ran. Because you can't handle a snap, or you drop a ball or whatever.
Yeah.
Your hand, if you need 2 gloves, then you got to wear them.
Yeah.
So, he needs to come to terms with that, and they need to understand what we're doing. But, with that being said, we got to go to break. We're going to break again, then we'll come back. We appreciate the callers in. Light up the text line.
We got a couple on the line that I think we should
All
get
right,
to.
we're going to go to break, and we're going to get some more callers. Jay Foreman, Nick Seiner, Jay Foreman After Game Show, live from Boulder at Blur. We'll be right back.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Get ready for an unforgettable night at Ignite Lincoln 15. On September 14th, Rococo Theater will come alive with captivating stories from diverse voices that inspire change and spark connection. You'll hear from 12 passionate speakers, including our 5 nonprofit finalists, who are making a real impact. Be part of this remarkable event that celebrates the power of storytelling. Secure your spot now by purchasing tickets at ignitelincoln.org and join us in creating a brighter future together. Don't miss your chance to experience Ignite Lincoln 15, a night of inspiration, community, and possibility.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
College football in Lincoln, America. The time has come. Start your game day off right with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show. Join the ticket crew as they bring you all the coverage you need to get you ready for the action. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, powered by Sunbelt Rentals. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHA Jets Ambassador. Select Plumbing. Jimmy John's, Lincoln Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits, Fleet Beef, Yours Cheese Spread on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The dog days of summer are here. Is your yard in need of a touch-up as we head into the fall season? August, September, and October are the months for aeration, and Penner Sprinkler and Lawn is the place to call to get the job done right. If you're noticing any issues with your sprinkler system through the hot summer months, they're always a call away, and they're already scheduling installs for sprinkler systems for next year and all other lawn care needs. Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn today at 402-413-1215.
Accelerate your financial journey. With Kasasa Cash, experience the thrill of earning more with each transaction or the freedom to withdraw your cash from any ATM nationwide. Not to mention, no monthly service fees. It's the power of earning up to 5.5% APY on your Kasasa Cash with Liberty First Credit Union. Earn rewards beginning at a penny, continuing up to $40,000. Visit libertyfirstcu.com for details. Federally insured by NCUA. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Account qualifications apply.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben sandwich or the prime rib French dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today. It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and they've scouted out the best Kawasaki side-by-side deals for you. Score up to $2,500 off the 2023 Kawasaki Terex and up to $1,000 off Mule Pro FX and FXCs. Whether you want to handle the toughest task in a trusted, tried and true mule or looking to dominate adventure in a Terex, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of Kawasaki side-by-sides in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down. Offer valid through 9/30/2023. Subject to change without notice. Offer available on approved purchases of select new unregistered Kawasaki vehicles. Model and year exclusions apply. Cannot be combined with promotional retail financing rates. If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire, 402-560-6197.
Ready to upgrade your combine with new technology to make your harvest more efficient, meaning more money in your pocket? The team at Landmark Implement is here to help find the right combine for harvest. Plus, when you purchase a pre-owned combine from Landmark, you are backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network, along with mobile techs and parts drop-off points to keep you up and running, reducing downtime. View inventory online at landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark to experience the Landmark difference.
So I switched my insurance to State Farm, and get this. I talked to an actual State Farm agent who lives in my actual town. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town gave me actual help with the coverage I needed. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town who gave me actual help actually knows my name. And get this. They actually say it's called service.
Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness specialize in getting rid of people's pain quickly and permanently. For 31 years, they've been extremely successful with advanced techniques in pain relief using spinal adjustments and decompression, detoxification, diet and lifestyle modification, and more. They are fully equipped to handle the most seasonal athlete, weekend warrior, car accidents, strains, sprains, and more. Is there anywhere you're experiencing pain on your body, or are you fighting decreased energy and depression? Consult Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness first at 402-476-8619.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinny Krekak, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back. Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Out here in Boulder, Blur After Party. This segment is brought to you by Vinny Krekak, State Farm. Protect yourself from the unexpected. Contact Vinny and his team of Personal Price Plan, or for a personal price plan to take the guessing out of the insurance. Call today at 402-474-1173. I guess it's the unexpected, Nick. Nobody expected to come all the way out from Lincoln, Omaha, or all across the nation and see the Colorado Buffaloes essentially beat our head in 36-7 when they didn't even play good. And so we got some callers, right? We got Jay and Brian on the line. Austin patched the first one through.
Should have, let me double check here. Should have Jay on the line right now. Jay, what's up?
Jay, let me hear what you have, man.
All right, Jay. Hey, Jay, play a game with me, all right?
Yeah.
Mickey Joseph and Bill Bush. Who'd they bring in last year?
At quarterback?
They brought Casey Thompson.
Yeah.
And who else?
Well, Trey Palmer.
Trey Palmer. Who did this staff bring in?
Well, it would be Jeff Sims and Billy Kemp.
Correct. That right there is what worries me. Talent evaluation.
Well,
that's all I got.
Now, can I take this one, or do you want to take it?
Go ahead. We'll both get it. Yeah, we appreciate it. Hey, Jay, you got a lead on. You got a lot of meat on that bone.
Now, I think there's a lot of things and a lot of parts to this. It's hard to expect somebody to be a Trey Palmer. I think Trey Palmers don't grow on trees. I also think you look at what the offense was planning to do last year, maybe throw the ball around a little bit more than they were this year, even though they said they wanted to throw or run it last year. We saw it. Casey Thompson could throw the ball really well. Jeff Sims, we know coming in, didn't throw the ball well. We knew he was an athletic quarterback, and the staff has admitted that they want to run and have a quarterback run element, and they felt like Casey Thompson maybe didn't give that to them. So
Sure.
I think there's a little bit of differences there, Jay.
Difference in philosophy.
I get what you're saying, and I think part of what we also need to remember, and this is not in no way defending Matt Rule or defending Jeff Sims or Marcus Satterfield or anything, but similar to when an athletic director takes his post at a new place, they want their guys. Similar to when a head coach comes in, they're going to want guys that they whether have a history with, whether have a connection with coaches that coached a certain player that is in the portal. You'll remember Matt Rule had a really good connection and relationship with Jeff Collins, who was the former Georgia Tech head coach, which was a big reason why Jeff Sims found his way to Nebraska. So I think there's a lot, like as Jay said, a lot of meat on that bone. Samari Toure's, the Trey Palmers, I think Nebraska, they got to figure out a way to grow those guys from their freshman class. They can't rely on somebody to come in and be a 1,000-yard receiver out of the portal.
No, because when you're losing,
and that's not Billy Kemp's game either. I don't think.
No, and you can't compare because it's two different situations. You got to think Mickey Joseph knew Trey Palmer ever since he was like in 6th grade or maybe even before that. So it's a long withstanding relationship, right? And it's no different like with Dion. He had a relationship with all these guys, well past. And so, I think it's what you can't think of is compare portals, team to team or staff to staff because Scott Frost and those guys got Samari Toure. So you got to think that's one of the best portal gets. But then, you get let down by, say, like the likes of O'Shawn Mathis and some other guys. And so ultimately the best thing that Matt Rule and those guys could do is develop and grow guys that you're, actively recruit, get them in your program, get them ready to go. But, talent evaluation, Jay, I would say, let's wait 3 or 4 years or at least 2 or 3 years to see how some of these guys, pan out. Now, if it becomes a pattern, then we can get on 100%. I think just right now it's circumstances. Now, the Jeff Sims situation does, shed some light on some stuff, and that's the way it is. The hardest position to grade, the hardest position to predict, and the hardest position to go out and assess and get is the quarterback position. Yeah. And so, when you lose the quarterback that, Casey Thompson in Lincoln, Nebraska isn't known, you bring in Jeff Sims and you see some of the performances, or at least 2 of them, then, lots to be left from the wish list. But, so we'll see where they go from here. It's going to take every ounce of coaching energy out of all the coaches to rectify the situation and hopefully get this season back on a winning, or not on it, get on the winning tip.
Well, I also think that, and this, Jay, the most popular player on a team that's losing or not having success is the backup quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And so
until he starts playing.
In this situation, it's the most popular player on Nebraska's team or now off Nebraska's team is Casey Thompson. Casey Thompson trending all over social media, being discussed, and understandably so, but let's also remember Nebraska was a 4-8 team last year for a multitude of reasons.
Right.
But nonetheless, I get the frustration from fans because they sat there and they saw how well at times Casey Thompson threw the ball for Nebraska.
Casey throws the ball better.
Let's be honest.
You can't deny it. Casey throws the ball better, but he doesn't bring the running aspect. So it's kind of like what you're willing to give up to get. So ultimately, all this talk can go away. Jeff Sims and the coaches and everybody come up with a plan to handle the ball better. And so, let's go to the next caller. Austin, we have another caller?
Yep, Brian should be on the line ready to go.
All right, Brian.
Hey, guys.
How you
afternoon,
doing?
I guess.
Yeah. What you got?
Yeah, so just going back to, not to hammer this again, but Sims, he is not the answer, guys. I mean, we've been talking a lot about common denominator and trends. I mean, this guy, even before he was here, the guy is a turnover machine. Big time. He cannot make good decisions. He cannot even catch shotgun snaps. That's not going to happen. It's not good, guys. So, our offense was playing pretty good with the run game. Our defense was killing us. They're right there in the game. And we could actually just control the game in the first half.
Yeah.
And it did not happen because of one common denominator this game and last game. Justin.
Yeah,
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, Brian, we understand your frustration, and Jeff, this isn't new to Jeff Sims, right? I think he played 27 games at Georgia Tech, 27 turnovers or something like that. Yeah. So it's just something that he, has to get a hold of. If he has any aspirations of continuing to play, let alone go anywhere else after this, these are things that is it a ball handling issue, a careless with the ball decision making? These are all things that you're going to have to work extra time over, and you have to do it. And if you want to, first of all, everybody loves a winner. And in order for this team to win, we can't have 4 turnovers in a game.
No.
It can't happen. So
well the margin for we're going to continue to regurgitate it at times.
The
margin of error for Nebraska as a program, this isn't even just this is not a Matt Rule issue, sole issue.
Right.
Now, granted, he can't be blamed for necessarily what happened the previous seasons because we got to look at this year solely for Matt Rule and Jeff Sims and guys like that. But Nebraska's margin for error for years has just been so minimal and so small, and that at times it's been so disappointing because one little thing goes wrong
and then
or goes not according to plan, and it snowballs.
Yeah.
And so exactly what we talked about before the game, Jay, on the shows yesterday in Embassy Suites and now today at the pregame show, Nebraska wasn't going to be able to win this game if they compounded mistakes.
Right.
And towards the end of the game, especially after the second quarter and when adversity hit, they started
From
compounding mistakes.
the middle of the second quarter on, it was
exactly,
a little pebble turned into like an avalanche, and you can't do that. Now, part of the reason why in the past I think Nebraska's margin for error was razor thin because of the lack of attention to detail and the risk reward type of go big or go home. Well, that sets you up for essentially losing, right? It's like going down to Vegas. The house generally wins. And so here, where you're not as talented as other teams and you're not able to, or you haven't been able to kind of implement your program and everything, except for only been there 6 months, you can't expect everything to be perfect. But what you can expect at certain positions to do the basics. And that's what Matt Rule's been trying to get guys to do. Some guys are doing it better than others. You see the defense is doing pretty well. But the offense is something to be had. The offensive line run block pretty well.
Yes.
They protected the passer pretty decent. I think they lost their way a little bit when you put Colorado in a position where they can just pin their ears back. But when it was within a one or two score game, I felt like they did well. I like to see the tight ends got in the action a little bit more. And so from a physicality standpoint, I felt like they did well. But it's a long ride home. I mean, it's an hour and a half flight, if that. I mean, it's a tough hour and a half because there's some soul searching that some players and maybe some coaches got to really do. And to Marcus Satterfield's defense, he had a couple series there that he didn't do well. I mean, heck, Tony White, in my opinion, when Shedeur Sanders ran that 18-yard run and it was second and like 25, and he went, man, I felt like that wasn't a good call because all your defenders have your back to the guy that can run and he can run. Now, and I'm sure Marcus Satterfield has some series of plays that he'd like to back, but the execution of the plays just from the beginning doesn't matter what the play call is. Whether it's ball handling, getting beat right off the snap inside by one of the guards, executing handoffs. That has nothing to do with play calling. They got to do the basics, and then I guarantee you will see a different offense and a consistent offense. But it's individual choices now because I know for a fact that these guys, that the coaches aren't glossing over this. It's being talked about, it's being addressed. Now they have to come with it and change it, and you got to be wanting to change it, and it's going to suck at times. And and that's where you could come out the back end and be a better team. But until that happens, you stuck on you stuck on stupid a little bit. So with that being said, Austin, do we have some Matt Rule?
We got one more caller.
Oh, we got one more caller?
One more caller to go
Let's
through.
go. All right, one more caller.
We got Jeff on the line. Jeff, what's on your mind?
Yeah, hey, I just wanted to say, first of all, 93.7 the ticket, love it.
Thanks, man.
Second of all, I just want to say, I think that the biggest problem with our defense today was Jeff Sims.
I was like, dang, what's he going to say?
Yeah. I mean, appreciate you, Jeff. Go ahead,
I
Jay.
mean, look, man, I think the best defense in this game would have been a consistent offense. And when you turn the ball over 4 times, that's not complimentary football. I felt the special teams was just a even Steven. Obviously was missing the field goal, so that didn't help out as well. So it's not all on Jeff Sims, but Jeff Sims needs to play better. And that just comes down to handling the ball. He actually threw the ball decently especially when he got out on the edges and had some good targets. I mean, heck, Bullock dropped the play. That was a perfectly thrown ball. You can't blame that on anybody but the receiver and Bullock. And so he's got to make the catch. There was another pass that I think he threw to Fedoni. You expect Fedoni when you're number 1 tight end 2 years ago, you got to come down with that. These are plays that Jeff Sims actually made in a positive manner. So as a coach, I can guarantee Marcus Satterfield is sitting there racking his brains like, man, I can see so many good things that he fit a pass in there for Fedoni. You like your tight end to catch it. You put one on the money for Bullock. You like him to catch it. And then you see just the basics of just snapping the ball and catching the ball. It's like, where did this person come from? Yeah. So that needs to be rectified and get something in between. Yes, twice, I understand that. But you need to get in between And that's where the model of consistency at quarterback will be appreciated. And that's what ultimately the coaches should be looking for and the fans. And so, yeah, I understand there's frustration with Jeff Sims, but there's some guys that had some drops. There's some guys on the offensive line that just need to play better. You can't get beat that quick, especially with Colorado not having a very good defensive line. Up the middle at some of the guard positions was way too much. I call it easy access or ollie oxen free. So there's plenty to do. And you got to try to ride the defense. But one of the things I will say before we go to break, right? Because we got to go
here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, a couple minutes. Is that it was really good to see how Tony White had some different guys in there, right?
Yeah.
You had Mekhi Gabert in there. He made a huge play in the open field.
Two big plays.
Two big plays.
Yeah.
But you know how I think he got the attention? Last week he showed up on special teams.
Yeah.
And then he gets in the game and then makes up for it. Nick Heinrich coming back. He had 2 sacks and had constant pressure. You got him going. Luke Reimer played well. And then the depth of guys playing in. You know Tommy Hill would like that playback, right? Look, man, you can't fall asleep out there on 4th and 10. You can't just let the guy run past you. So, I mean, that's probably why you're not starting. But ultimately, when you think about it, adding depth, coaching all these guys up, finding roles for them, Tony White and the defensive staff has done an excellent job. So you want to ride that as long as you can. But there's going to be a time where they're going to face a Michigan. They're going to face, who knows, Iowa or Wisconsin, where that team is going to have them on the ropes. Offensively, we have got to get to the place where when we can step up, not step down. We can't be like getting off the bus knowing that we're going to turn the ball over 2 or 3 times because of lack of discipline and ball handling, lack of discipline in, knowing the snap count. We had guys jumping off sides again for no reason. Like
on crucial third and fourth,
right.
Crucial 3rd and 4th downs.
Right. You're trying so hard not to get beat, then you end up beating yourself. That's not how you can go about it. You got to go and play it play by play. So everybody's got some work to do. I know there's probably a lot of anxiety and obviously anger in that locker room, and that's good.
Yeah.
But they got to keep working at it because they get it together. They'll start to string together some nice little wins if they can.
Well, yeah, disappointing. I mean, a couple situations they had, I believe, on back-to-back drives potentially, 2nd and 24 and 2nd and 25.
Yeah.
That Colorado was able to get big chunks of yards. But what was big about it was maybe on that series of 4 downs, they got a first down. But how do they respond? They would allow, it'd be 3rd and short, and they would stand tall.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that we did mention, pregame, was how is Nebraska going to respond to the chippiness of this game? Nebraska's defense did really, really well, in my opinion, in responding to the chippiness. There was a total of 6 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, 4 against Colorado, 2 against Nebraska. One that was against Nebraska was on the out of bounds or was on the sidelines, and man, that was a tough
not bad.
one.
Yeah,
that was a tough one to swallow.
But there was also one where Ty Robinson threw the running back down, and they got the Colorado offensive lineman.
Exactly.
It was probably about 3-3, and some were warranted, some weren't. It was going to be like that, and Nebraska came out and I think brought it to Colorado because they were physically dominating. They were very physical with Travis Hunter. They were very physical with everybody. On offensively, you just lost your way, man. It's literally we got to start charting at the time one turnover or one negative series starts, and then when it stops, hopefully, eventually sooner than later, in the change in the score, because once you start going downhill, Nebraska doesn't do well.
Well, I think what's really, really disappointing is you look at that. You talked about it all the time, the cause and effect, right? And in the first half
right there.
There was the 2 fumbles were the cause, and the effect was that Colorado scores 10 points in the final 3 minutes of the second half.
And
then,
it's
really
not
disappointing,
right? And then it's like, okay, well, it's 4th or 3rd and 16. You got to stay in bounds. You run out of bounds. You give them a chance to hit 1 or 2 big plays and makes a field goal, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think that was where on the sideline penalty was essentially suspect at best, and that was on a 3rd down. So, look, man, you got to, learn from it. You got to assess it, and you got to practice it differently and then go from there. But it's a hard pill to swallow for some of these guys right now because after 2 games, they've had a lot of self-inflicted wounds. So with that being said, we're going to go to break, come right back to our last segment here, and send you guys off. I understand the anxiety and anger. I can't speak for Nick, but I know Nick pretty well. You have every right to be pissed and disappointed. And I think it's probably for me, I've moved beyond pissed. I'm more disappointed. And disappointed is worse.
Yeah, it's not even the fact that I'm mad.
I'm disappointed.
It's you're just kind of even past the deflated stage as a Husker fan, because you're kind of just
numb to it
to where it's like, yeah, Nebraska lost again on this Saturday. Today it really stings, I think, just because it was against the opponent of Colorado.
Right.
There was so much anticipation and excitement
and how
thought
good they
during
were
this
playing
game,
on defense,
and how well Nebraska's defense was playing. And it's just like you found yourself sitting there multiple times during that game going, the offense just has to eventually help the defense out.
Right.
And we're still walking away from this game that Nebraska's defense on paper let up 36 points, but man, it just doesn't feel like it. And once again, it's just this frustrating and infuriating feeling of Nebraska's offense once again just not helping out their defense. And Jay, I guess on that point, if Nebraska had to run one single play, and I think this will tell you everything you need to know about your offense and Nebraska where it stands right now. If Nebraska had to run one single play that they said, all right, we need you to get 5 yards. It's life or death. You need 5 yards here. What are they going with? Is their best option quarterback run?
Yeah, after today, it's
5 wide. That just does not make you feel good.
No, it doesn't. But they got to get better at it. But they have guys open. They have the ability to do it. The problem is the ball handling and turnovers. The five wides, spread them out. Jeff Sims pick his hole and go. Is pretty. You can't do that for 4 quarters, but you can do it when I call them must-haves. And so, for them, they got to figure it out. And they got a lot of work to do. They got to get back in there, get in the lab, and decide what they're going to do, and go from there. But they got a lot of things they got to rectify, man. And it's going to be a tough 24 hours for them. But you got an opponent that's going to come in with the mindset they're going to try to make a name for themselves. So
they've already done it once this year against the Power 5 school.
And so don't let them do it again. So with that being said, we're going to go to break, come back and hit our last segment, send you guys off. This is Jay Foreman, Nick Sainer. We'll be right back.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and they've scouted out the best Kawasaki side-by-side deals for you. Score up to $2,500 off the 2023 Kawasaki Teryx and up to $1,000 off Mule Pro FX and FXCs. Whether you want to handle the toughest task in a trusted, tried and true mule, or looking to dominate adventure in a Teryx, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of Kawasaki side-by-sides in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down. Offer valid 9/30/2023. Subject to change without notice. Offer available on approved purchases of select new unregistered Kawasaki vehicles. Model and year exclusions apply. Cannot be combined with promotional retail financing rates. It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week. And right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker Highway. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of tons of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Don't allow uninvited guests to take over your home. Trust Bats to Rats for a peaceful and rodent-free living space.
Get ready for an unforgettable night at Ignite Lincoln 15. On September 14th, Rococo Theater will come alive with captivating stories from diverse voices that inspire change and spark connection. You'll hear from 12 passionate speakers, including our 5 nonprofit finalists, who are making a real impact. Be part of this remarkable event that celebrates the power of storytelling. Secure your spot now by purchasing tickets at ignitelincoln.org and join us in creating a brighter future together. Don't miss your chance to experience Ignite Lincoln 15, a night of inspiration, community, and possibility.
So, I just got the State Farm Personal Price Plan on my car insurance. So you told your agent you play the bagpipes for your dog?
What? No, I didn't get that personal. My agent just helped me create an affordable price just for me. Okay, let me show you what I've been working on. Hey, Buster!
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness specialize in getting rid of people's pain quickly and permanently. For 31 years, they've been extremely successful with advanced techniques in pain relief using spinal adjustments and decompression, detoxification, diet and lifestyle modification, and more. They are fully equipped to handle the most seasonal athlete, weekend warrior, car accidents, strains, sprains, and more. Is there anywhere you're experiencing pain on your body, or are you fighting decreased energy and depression? Consult Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness first at 402-476-8619.
America's been around since 1776. That's nothing. America's still just learning how to party. The Irish? The Irish have been doing it for thousands of years. Party the Irish way at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket. They've got your favorite Irish beers on tap, along with all the locals and domestics, plus great house cocktails, a huge selection of Irish whiskey, and the best Irish pub food in town. See the full menu and list of specials online at mckinneyspub.com, or just head down there. McKinney's Irish Pub at 7th and P in the Haymarket.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any backyard landscaping project, and you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
The dog days of summer are here. Is your yard in need of a touch-up as we head into the fall season? August, September, and October are the months for aeration, and Penner Sprinkler and Lawn is the place to call to get the job done right. If you're noticing any issues with your sprinkler system through the hot summer months, they're always a call away, and they're already scheduling installs for sprinkler systems for next year and all other lawn care needs. Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn today at 402-413-1215.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy? It's Planet Fitness. Now through September 13th, join for just $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. Plus, with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th. See Home Club for details.
Accelerate your financial journey. With Kasasa Cash, experience the thrill of earning more with each transaction or the freedom to withdraw your cash from any ATM nationwide. Not to mention, no monthly service fees. It's the power of earning up to 5.5% APY on your Kasasa Cash with Liberty First Credit Union. Earn rewards beginning at a penny, continuing up to $40,000. Visit libertyfirstcu.com for details. Federally insured by NCUA. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose. Account qualifications apply.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinny Krekak, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back. Last segment. Jay Foreman, Nick Sainer. Jay Foreman Postgame Show up here at Blur after game party. Winding down here, Nick. You know, some people still getting cranked up, but this segment is brought to you by Elway Power Sports of Lincoln. Score up to $2,500 off a Kawasaki Teryx and up to $1,000 off a Mule Pro FX and FXTs through September 30th at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln at their new 27th and Highway 80 location. Now, Nick, we are here, right? The game is over. We've heard the people. We've talked to plenty of people on the scene. We've talked amongst ourselves. I'll ask you first, and then I'll go. What does Nebraska do from here? What are the 2 or 3 things they have to do from here?
Well, I think you fully need to buy in that if you haven't already, that you're going to have to rely on your defense to not only keep you in football games, but sometimes win you football games.
Right.
I also think that you take away something of a positive that we saw in today's game. And what was that? It was that Gabe Ervin ran the ball 14 times for almost 70 yards in the first half.
Right.
I think he has cemented himself out, and you can go back and forth on whether the exchange on the handoff was his fault or Jeff Sims' fault, whatever it was. You can even say it's a combination of both guys.
Yeah.
He's got to grab that football and be ready to go, and Jeff Sims got to put it in the belly. I mean, you can say both things there. So I think Gabe Ervin, though, has established himself as the number one back. I think he has, right?
Yeah,
because you want to talk about the way he runs. You want to talk about ball security. He has that locked up for the time being. That doesn't mean that there's no competition.
Sure.
Doesn't mean that Anthony Grant can't come back. But once again, or at least in some capacity, but I think going forward, you need to fully embrace the fact that you have a quarterback that really struggles to throw the rock.
Mm-hmm.
You have a wide receiver room that's extremely depleted. And if you're Marcus Satterfield, you got to really find creative ways to get everybody involved. Tight ends, wide receivers, and figure out a way to get a guy like Ramir Johnson involved creatively, in a creative way going forward, because that's the only source of offense I think you can really count on.
Yeah, I think, I agree with you. The defense is going to have to lead the way. But I don't want them to gamble more to try to create turnovers. I want them to kind of continue to get better at what they're doing, because there's still little things that they need to do a little bit better, right? Get off run blocks a little bit better, communicate a little bit better, obviously play the ball a little bit better, but they're playing winning football right now. I think offensively, I agree with you. The running attack, you get Gabe Ervin as number 2. Ramir has cemented himself as Gabe Ervin is number 1. Ramir has cemented himself as number 2. And Anthony Grant is going to have to continue to work at it until Nebraska needs him. And when called upon, he's got to represent. It was good to see the tight ends get a couple catches. I mean, I think Borkacher got one. Borkacher did a really good job blocking, especially in the first half. Adoni tried to block, had the one drop that I think he's good enough to catch.
Yeah.
Got that last touchdown, so forth and so on. So it's good to see them getting some action. I'd like to see a little bit more, especially with a quarterback or quarterbacks that struggle. Now with the wide receiver room, I think we need to start accentuating what Colorado does. Crossing routes, deep over routes, getting them to run away from coverage and being able to hit it. Now, we're peeling that all the way back, right?
Yeah.
That's all great. We could draw up plays that get open. We got to have somebody that can deliver the mail. And so what does Nebraska do from here, right? You assess Jeff Sims, right? And then you assess where your backup is or backups are, and then create a plan moving forward. Even if you want to roll out Jeff Sims again and give him the benefit of the doubt, because on some of the interceptions, you could argue that the routes weren't run as crisp, X, Y, and Z, and he's been late, so forth and so on, but he's obviously built up enough equity for you to make a decision rather quickly that he's your guy. But I'm also making sure Jeff Sims know that there is a plan and other guys will play. That doesn't mean that they're starters, and it doesn't mean if they do well that you're never going to play again. But the circumstances are the circumstances. I'm dealing with that. Then number 2, I'm dealing with the easy access plays that have been coming out of the guard position. Easy access, I mean, of the defensive lineman, easy access getting beat too quickly. We're nullifying that. We're getting right at that, because I think Coach Raiola has done a really good job of having these guys play better. Now we need some of the guys to be a little bit more consistent, right? And so I think the offensive line to play is better. And then I think the pass blocking has been better than what they've gotten credit for. And then I think when you do that, you'll have a more, of a productive, product out there offensively, regardless of who the quarterback is. But then, I'm putting pressure on the backups. Like, look, you guys are backups for a reason. But right here, we got to see what you could do. If it's Heiner Harbert, you got to get better at passing the ball, like Jeff Sims. Okay, get better at it. Then as far as Chubba Purdy, dude, you cannot play like you're going 1,000 miles an hour and everybody else is going 10. Okay, that's over. So if you want to play, get it together. So, look, the opportunities here. I'm coming in and presenting you during the season legitimate opportunity. So what that happens, I think that'll do it. And I think it'll still keep everybody on board. They're going to have to really tough this out, because, the score is not indicative of the game. So they know that internally. So what they have to do internally is fix themselves so they can be better externally. And when that happens, they'll finally realize their first victory.
We got about 10 minutes left in the Jay Foreman postgame show. Then we're going to send it back to the studio. The guys are back there ready to continue this on through the afternoon and evening. Jay and I will eventually get on a plane later tonight and fly back home to Lincoln and watch a little NFL action tomorrow, Jay Foreman. But one thing you did say is about backups and putting a little pressure on.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a threat, right?
No,
but
they need
let's
to
be
do
honest.
better.
What it is, it's accountability. It's everything that Matt Rule has been preaching is what you would do to Jeff Sims in this
Right.
instance. It's
Right.
it's they held Anthony Grant accountable.
Right.
He
So-
fumbled, and now he's not playing because they held him accountable. If you want to talk so much about standard and expectation, that's fine. That's great.
Right.
We all love to hear it, but you can't change it depending on the position.
Yeah, and plus we don't have anybody that's good enough for it to change.
Exactly.
We don't have a Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith that when Jimmy Johnson said they have rules. Everybody has rules, but it's just different for them. And so you got to do it. Doesn't mean you make an example of them, but Jeff Sims well aware of it that he's got a turnover problem right now, and in the backups, I will be putting pressure on them. Listen, just because Jeff Sims is struggling doesn't mean that you're just going to be anointed in there and you not do your job and you not show me in practice that you're better than you are. And so, sometimes everybody needs a shock to the system to get them going.
Yeah.
And they need to play better, and they need to practice better. They need to hold each other accountable, and they need to, move forward. And they got a day to get after it tomorrow. They need to really dive into this tape because, to be honest with you, there's a lot of good on this tape. You're playing a 22 ranked Colorado team at home, first home game for Deion Sanders and company, and you were bringing it to them all the way up until you decided to shoot yourself in the foot about halfway to 2/3 of your way or 2/3 through the second quarter and wasn't able to rebound. And you're not able to rebound because you start the second half of doing after a defensive stop, doing the same things you did in the first half to get you down 13-0. So they have to find a way to get some points on the board. We know they're depleted at wide receiver, but this is also an opportunity for some of those young guys, whether it's Malachi Coleman, Doss, Jalen Lloyd. Look, dude, if you want to get out here and cement yourself and be ahead of the curve for next year, show something.
Yeah.
Go out there and play. And then because they need some help, they need some explosiveness. But what they need really mostly, Nick, is a consistency, at all three positions, right? Line, skill position, quarterback. And so when they do that, they'll be just fine.
We said it last week. We'll say it again this week. You don't need 11 guys to be Superman. You don't even need one guy to be Superman. You talked about the basics, the decision making, the fundamentals of it. Another example that we haven't even touched on was right before the half when Jeff Sims scrambled and ran out of bounds. Right now, this is the second straight week, unfortunately, and I feel like we've just been bagging on Jeff Sims, but that's not necessarily what we're trying to do. But it's that decision making, understanding where you're at in the game, understanding what the situation is within the game, and just understand that hey, if I just slide here, they're not going to hit me, and if they do, that's a free first down for us. Right. Number one, number two. Colorado is going to have to use their final timeout, which in turn then allowed them, because of a mistake they made at the end of the half, to where they threw the ball inbounds on an underneath route.
Right.
They made a mistake, and that's where, if it wasn't for the previous mistake by Nebraska, that mistake would have cost them. It would have just been 10-0 instead of 13-0. You come back with a touchdown right out of half because you have a good defensive stop.
Right.
And then it's a 10-7 ball game. You're sitting there going, it's not even a touchdown game. It's a field goal game.
Right. Yeah.
And not to mention the Tristan Albano field goal, you could have been tied up.
I think the biggest thing is that people need to understand, yes, Jeff Sims has been in college 3 years, but he has a lack of experience. You know what I'm saying? Got some fans in here giving me the business. He has a lack of experience because, look, when you play your freshman year, then you're hurt and play bits and pieces, you're essentially no different than like a JUCO quarterback or a freshman quarterback that got to start 8 games. Yeah. So these decisions or these things that are happening are from a lack of experience. It really is. Yeah. And the experience that you're getting in the ACC playing at Georgia Tech is totally different than playing the quarterback at Nebraska. This is a totally different tidal wave that you're going in, and it's totally different pressure. The expectations are different because they don't care about football down at Georgia Tech. These fans, obviously, by showing up here in Boulder, care. They're knowledgeable, right? They know whether you should stay in bounds or not. And I would encourage Jeff Sims. You know what I'd encourage him to do? Obviously get back into the film room. I'd encourage him to watch 2 full NFL games this weekend.
Yeah.
2 full. And then I want to report, because you want to know why? The same things that he's going to see in any game, he sees on Sunday. It's a free, answers to the test. You think that all these mistakes that you're making are just obligated to you? I mean, you got to be kidding me. You think that there's not a quarterback that's in the NFL this weekend that's going to understand the other team only has one timeout? Okay, I throw it to the running back, and the running back stays in bounds. They always talk about when a running back has a chance to end the game and he doesn't score, right? Austin Eckler's done it. Other guys have done it. Other guys have scored too quickly.
Yeah.
Watch football, because if you want to learn and get experience and lessen your learning curve and become more consistent, watch the professionals do it. And I guarantee you're going to see some things. You're going to see some same coverages. You're going to see the same concepts. You're going to see them talk about, like Troy Aikman and those guys, Tony Romo calling the game, talking about a quarterback's footwork, talking about his processing. So why wouldn't you watch that? Yes, it's simple and everybody thinks it's elementary, but when you're making these lack of experience mistakes, then you got to really go back and start you back in elementary school.
Well, and is that something, okay, so within the game situations, understanding, all right, I need to get out of bounds, or I need to stay in bounds, or get out of bounds in a certain situation. Can you replicate those in practice?
You can. There's there's 1,000 of them. But yes, you can. But also, you might see something in a game, and it might not come to your plate for 4 weeks.
Well, exactly.
And then you'd be like, you know what? I saw Patrick Mahomes do this. Oh, I seen this quarterback do this, and they said he should have done this. Football is no different. So yeah, you can replicate it. You do situational football, but you know how you
might not come up for.
Yeah, you could do that. But also, you know what else happens, Nick? And I talked to DP about this. When you want to be a good player or a great player, there's never been a good or great player or exceptional player, right, that hasn't done more than is what's asked of them. Yeah. So I'm asking you to do more. I'm demanding you to do more. Now, you know who does just what they're asked of them? Average players or crappy players, straight up. Good, an average player can go to good go to great go to exceptional by doing a little bit more, and obviously all the physical stuff being, about the same. But yeah, watch some football. Go through the situations. Think about third and in. Think about the time on the clock, right? Think about like, okay, well, do we really want to try to take this shot and we're in field goal territory, or should I try to check it down to Ramir and see if he can do something and get us closer to a field goal?
Yeah.
Right? Or do we got to say, okay, when this play is called and I check, then I can do something else. You have got to understand the game of football isn't just about athletic ability. It's played 90% in your head. 90% in your head. There's very few guys. I mean, Randy Moss was a next level athlete where he's so much better than everybody else. But generally, everybody's within a certain realm of athletic ability. What helps you is knowing the game, trusting your instincts, and also negating your mistakes or your weaknesses. So if you have a ball handling issue, then you better be on YouTube or something figuring out how to ball handle.
Yeah.
You got Tommy Frazier here, talk to him.
I was saying the resources are available.
Look, nobody has this game. The thing about football, nobody has this game mastered. Yeah. They have not cornered the market on football. At this point, you have to say, okay, yes, I can do this in the quarterback run game. I looked a little bit better out there on the edge. But what am I do? Why is it so much different when I'm in shotgun? Yeah. What is it?
Jay,
find out yourself. Yeah. Right.
Before we get Jay's just final thought in, let's get a score update from around the country. Once again, as Nebraska falls 36-14 to the Colorado Buffaloes. Nebraska did score the final touchdown, and with 1 second on the clock, as Thomas Fidone scores his first career touchdown for the Huskers on a pass from Heinrich Harburg, nonetheless. All right, scores from around the country. 10th ranked Notre Dame is up on NC State 38-17 with 8:20 to go in the fourth quarter. Clemson dominating Charleston Southern 52-17. Michigan up 21-0 at the half over UNLV. Tulane up by 7, 17-10 on Ole Miss at the half. Texas A&M on the road at Miami up 17-7. And in the Cy-Hawk battle, the Hawkeyes of Iowa lead Iowa State 17-0 at the break. Jay, before we get out of here, Nebraska's next game against Northern Illinois is a 6 p.m. Central Time kickoff inside Memorial Stadium, the first time that the Huskers will be home here this year for the 2023 season. Northern Illinois, a team that's knocked off Power 5 opponents this season, also been a team that in the past has knocked off Power 5 opponents.
Oh, yeah.
They're Nebraska, nonetheless, back, I believe, in 2019. They came to Nebraska and knocked off Nebraska after Colorado in 2019. What does Nebraska have to do going forward to avoid that and starting out 0-3?
Well, I mean, they got to get better at the things that are so glaringly a weakness that you don't want it to be consistently a 4-turnover game. You don't want your quarterback not to be able to handle the ball. That's number one. You need to get better. Then number two is finding out a way, footwork-wise, not to get beat so cleanly inside at times, at crucial times, right? Regardless if you know the team is blitzing or not. I think they could get a little bit better in the help in the pass protection, right? Get that down. And I think you need that against a team like Northern Illinois. And then, keep working at defense, keep working at the tackling, keep working at which has gotten you better, keep working on your depth, and still trying to get home in 3 or 4 man fronts. And then find a way to get, Chief Borders and MJ Sherman going as well. You saw a little bit more of MJ Sherman today, and he did, a couple things, but we still need some more. So we need to get that position going. It was good to see Jamari Butler come in, get a sack, pay dividends right away. So I think he should be more in the future. And if they do that, and then obviously sprinkle in some special teams play, right? We got to make our field goals, and we need 1 or 2 big returns against Northern Illinois, and we'll just be fine. And we do that, that's where the confidence comes from. Because, listen, right now, we can't worry about the opponent. We can't, turn our nose up and say, oh, well, that was only against Northern Illinois. No, Northern Illinois is a legitimate opponent, and we got to take them. We got to, take them as such or prepare for them as such and get the confidence of executing against them. Yeah. Do not practice with this is a foregone conclusion that we're going to win this game and everything will work itself out. Stop looking at yourself.
I was just going to say, you can't do that.
Stop looking at yourself in the mirror, thinking that you're a 10 and you're only a 4 right now.
Yeah.
And that's being nice.
Yeah. Once again, Nebraska falls to 0-2 here in the 2023 campaign. Before you close it out, Jay, a huge, ginormous, big shout out to the fine folks at Blur, Blur tailgate. An unbelievable couple of days for us out here.
Right.
26th and Canyon Boulevard. It's been a great 48 hours out here, letting us do our shows out here yesterday in the afternoon, obviously allowing us to do the pregame and postgame shows from out here at the tailgate. And shout out to all the Husker fans that made the trip out to Boulder as well. Unfortunately, could not have ended in a better in a better result, but it is what it is. As always, thanks to the sponsors for the Jay Foreman Postgame Show: Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Elway Power Sports of Lincoln.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I appreciate it. Appreciate the activity on the phone lines. We're going to get cracking again next week. We're going to have a late night, but it's going to be well worth it because I got a feeling that Nebraska's going to get out of their own way finally and beat Northern Illinois. It's going to be tough, though. Like every game is going to be a tough game. So, they'll get more out of it in the future by earning these victories. And so, look, I know this stings a little bit. I know they're highly embarrassed, right? They should be. Yeah. You should be embarrassed. You got
this should hurt.
What?
This should hurt.
Well, yeah, hurt and embarrassed. But yeah, your feelings should be hurt. Yes, you should. You embarrass yourself on national TV. Yeah. But even though the score is not indicative of it, but again, if you want to stop people talking about the same old Nebraska, dumb penalties, turnover, well, then stop doing it. Bingo. I mean, at the end of the day, I can't tell you anything else. If there was a technique to do it, I'd probably, bottle that up and sell it, and we'd be billionaires. Hey. And so we don't have that answer right there. So all they got to do is keep working at it and get better at it. So appreciate everybody. We're going to sign off here, pack up, and then head to the airport. Jay Foreman, Nick Seiner, Jay Foreman After Game Show, A1 Automotive. We are out of here.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Get ready for an unforgettable night at Ignite Lincoln 15. On September 14th, Rococo Theater will come alive with captivating stories from diverse voices that inspire change and spark connection. You'll hear from 12 passionate speakers, including our 5 nonprofit finalists, who are making a real impact. Be part of this remarkable event that celebrates the power of storytelling. Secure your spot now by purchasing tickets at ignitelincoln.org and join us in creating a brighter future together. Don't miss your chance to experience Ignite Lincoln 15, a night of inspiration, community, and possibility.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers, and if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Don't allow uninvited guests to take over your home. Trust Bats to Rats for a peaceful and rodent-free living space.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need.
Labor Day sale from September 1st through the 11th at Bonsall Pool and Spa at 33rd and Highway 2 or at bonsallpool.com. It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week, and right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker Highway. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of tons of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan. Football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill, 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturday, NFL Sunday, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich, or the Prime Rib French Dip, or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee.
News. I got the State Farm personal price plan on our home and auto insurance.
You told our agent about my thing for romance novels?
No, you don't have to get that personal. Our agent just helped me choose affordable options to create a personalized price just for us.
Oh, sweet. Then you won't believe the love triangle Jen is in now.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Ready to upgrade your combine with new technology to make your harvest more efficient, meaning more money in your pocket? The team at Landmark Implement is here to help find the right combine for harvest. Plus, when you purchase a pre-owned combine from Landmark, you are backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network, along with mobile techs and parts drop-off points to keep you up and running, reducing downtime. View inventory online at landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark to experience the marked difference.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and they've scouted up the best Kawasaki side-by-side deals for you. Score up to $2,500 off the 2023 Kawasaki Terex and up to $1,000 off Mule Pro FX and FXCs. Whether you want to handle the toughest task in a trusted, tried-and-true mule or looking to dominate adventure in a Terex, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of Kawasaki side-by-sides in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down. Offer valid 9/30/2023. Subject to change without notice. Offer available on approved purchases. Select unregistered Kawasaki model years. Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness specialize in getting rid of people's pain quickly and permanent. For 31 years, they've been extremely successful with advanced techniques in pain relief using spinal adjustments, decompression, detoxification, diet and lifestyle modification, and more. They are fully equipped to handle the most seasonal athlete, weekend warrior, car accidents, strains, sprains, and more. Is there anywhere you're experiencing pain on your body, or are you fighting decreased energy and depression? Consult Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness first at 402-476-8619.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinny Creek, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There's no Jay Foreman here in Lincoln. Big thanks to him and Nick for their coverage on postgame, everyone with pregame as well. It's the boys back in studio. I'm Moss Norman, Jake Bachhoven, and Harrison Arons here, Carter Longy in the back as well. Taking you through a little while longer here. As long as you have thoughts, we'll keep taking them. And Nick, you've been holding on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. If you're still there, Nick, what's on your mind?
May have lost Nick.
All right, Nick, sorry about that. Sorry we didn't get to you. Okay, plan B. Let's go to the text line. Been popping off 402-464-5685. Bryce texts, oh man, a tough 24 hours for some of the most pampered athletes in D1. How rough for them. Here's the thing. College football is for the fans, but it's about the student athletes. I don't want to question this team's heart and effort right now. Clearly, things need to get better. Things need to improve. But let's not forget how bad things looked at the end of the 2017 season. That's a team that quit. That's a team that gave up. I'm sure the vast majority, if not all of the locker room, has taken these first 2 weeks extremely hard. It's got to change at some point. But to be in week 2 and already saying, oh, they're pampered, oh, they're spoiled, oh, they're not trying hard enough, that doesn't sit right with me, guys. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm there with you. We kind of talked about it over there in the other room, but again, before this started, everyone was kind of okay with the Matt Rule program being a slow build. So we can't go 2 games in and already freak out about the slow build and it being too slow. It's 2 games in. Yeah, there's turnovers. There's obvious problems, things that you shouldn't be okay with. You know, as a Nebraska fan, seeing that many turnovers, yeah, you should be discontent. But in terms of, bashing the players, we don't want to be there yet and give this thing some time. It's game 2. Colorado, we'll see how good they are. But again, we'll just kind of let this thing slowly build up and see what we got.
And it's no longer, the days where Nebraska their facilities were just so much better. I know we just added more facilities, but everybody in college football is pampered, I guess, if that's what you want to say. But these guys deserve it. They're Division I athletes. That's the money that's in the sport. That's what's driving a lot of these universities to actually build extra buildings for other programs or keep a lot of these other sports alive. So, I wouldn't necessarily say that either. Though I do want to stick up for the 2017 team because I know you said that. I always say the university gave up on them before conference play. When you fire an athletic director, it means the writing's on the wall for the coach. Before conference play, then you might have a team that's not necessarily as motivated to finish out their season. But I get what you're saying.
And here's the thing: that's human. It's understandable, and we can't treat these players like robots. They have emotions too. They're feeling this. And that's why, again, as unfortunate as the 36-14 loss to Colorado is, especially on the defensive side of the ball, the effort is commendable. Harrison, to your point too about the slow build, I think it's even tougher to stomach to some degree. Makes us want to change our tune sometimes because you see Colorado not have to go through that. We didn't hear that talk out of Colorado. Here they are. They jump out with a 3-point win. They put up 45 in week 1, set school records against TCU, and then really blow the doors off Nebraska in the second half. So I think the juxtaposition of Nebraska and Colorado, being so much of the narrative, makes it even tougher, like you're saying, accept the slow build like we were before the year.
Yeah, and that's just kind of where I think with Matt Rule, we kind of have to hold our patience here a little bit. Again, you don't want to be complacent. I think you want to keep that fine line of there is a sense of urgency. It's year 1, but there still needs to be that sense of urgency. But you also got to draw the line of freaking out. I'm seeing a lot of we should have hired Dion over Matt Rule. Like, we got to calm down and just kind of bite your tongue on that. We got to see how this thing plays out. You look at Colorado, they have playmakers. They have elite talent at the wide receiver position. And obviously quarterback Sanders, what he's doing, he's surgical when given time. Nebraska did some things to make it uncomfortable for him, right? You saw the defense get good pass rush on him, and you needed that. If you give Sanders time, he was going to cut you up. And unfortunately, the offense, the turnovers, that's all frustrating things, and you should want to get fixed. But again, I think it's going to be a slow build. That's kind of what these 2 games are telling me, that right now, I don't know what we really have at certain skill positions. That's a little concerning. So I think it's going to be a slow build, but you don't want to panic.
Well, they got a long way to go on offense, and clearly that. But I mean, you do have to give credit, and it's kind of weird because it's an adjustment for old school fans to thank the Nebraska defense for their effort today, having given up 400 yards and 36 points. But still, I mean, you understand with the battle that they're going up against with that offense, and just how it's just not providing them any spark, or really, at a certain point, it felt like any hope, to win that game. And so, I mean, yes, there's a lot to build on offense, but you do have to give Tony White and that defense credit. I mean, for a 3-3-5, we were all kind of, I don't know about that. I mean, they schemed it out pretty well. As Jay, if you heard him, there's always going to be plays that you want to take back and do something different on. But this defense is going to give Nebraska a fighting chance in most of the games. And I don't think Nebraska is necessarily going to be favored in a whole lot moving forward.
Maybe the next two, and that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe Northwestern.
I mean, Michigan's going to be ugly. There's some games that are just, they feel out of reach. But, I mean, that defense is going to provide an opportunity. And at least you feel like you've got something to build. When we're talking about a slow build, maybe a different quarterback or something you can get in the next year. And if that defense can kind of stay where they're at, maybe you can pop off something quicker than, hopefully the 3-year build that we're kind of used to with Matt Rule.
Yeah, absolutely. And, speaking of that defense, there's definitely some bright spots there, right? I kind of talked about the offense, but Lenhart today was really just causing havoc today. A guy that I don't think he was getting a whole lot of conversation in the offseason, but he really showed up. And again, we do have the phone lines open for you guys, 402-464-5685. That is the Honda of Lincoln hotline. We do have Wayne on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Wayne, what are your thoughts after Nebraska loses Colorado 36-14?
Well, it goes back to when we hired this coach. I looked him up when we hired him and found out that he was only 3 or 4 games over 500 in his college coaching, and figured, trying to wrap my brain why in the world that they hired him. It makes me wonder how many people turned him down. I waited for this game because the two teams were a lot alike. New coach. Man, Colorado started off worse than what Rule had. Rule had some players, and he didn't have a bunch of people jump out of the
portal
into the portal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's got a defense that was just thrown together, like Jay said, about 5 months ago. I just don't get it. This is deja vu. Callahan. This is what that's what I'm going to call him.
Absolutely.
I'm going to call him Coach Callahan.
All right. Appreciate the call, Wayne. And guys, let's go ahead and try to break that one down here. I'm going to give Rule some little bit of reprieve here. Temple, you're looking at that program. Excuse me, I'll start with Baylor. I mean, that's the program that had every allegation under the moon going against him. He had to completely flip that one around. So you have a rough start there. Anticipated. Same thing with Temple. He was inheriting some really bad rosters. But to his point, Colorado 1-11 last year. Where are you guys at with that? And Colorado's ability to turn it around, again, just 2 games in. 2-0. Let's not get too carried away. But then looking at Nebraska, how are you guys kind of seeing that?
Well, I'll start. I know, part of this Colorado story, and it's taken over college football and it's taken over sports. But I mean, part of this story and why it's so big and why fans are rushing the field is you have to realize where Colorado was. I mean, Lance Leipold's getting a lot of credit for going 6-7 last year at Kansas, and deserves it because nobody's won at Kansas, since 2008. Since Mark
Mangino.
Yeah, since Mark Mangino. Nobody's won at Colorado consistently since Gary Barnett, and I said this last week. These 3-9s and 4-8s. I mean, that lows that we're kind of feeling. That's Colorado year in and year out for like the last 20 years. So what he was able to do just to get the team to 2-0, just to where they are now, is he's coach of the year obviously by a mile right now. But I mean, as you track it, it's going to be fun. Now, all that being said, they might not be great. Remember a couple years ago, Iowa was number 2 after beating Indiana and Iowa State because Indiana and Iowa State had great years the year before. Neither of them ended up making a bowl. So sometimes we don't necessarily know. TCU might not be great. As Nebraska fans know, Nebraska's probably not going to be that great this year. So we'll kind of see where all that turns. But yeah, I mean, you deserve a lot more patience. You do have to throw another top 25 loss onto Matt Rule's resume, which is somewhat of a concern, I guess, moving forward once you get to that. But right now, I wouldn't. I mean, I would continue to look at that resume. There is a reason, and as far as people turning him down, he's one of the top names in college football because he's turned around 2 jobs, and that's what they're expecting to do here. But part of that hire and part of what you always had to accept was that his year ones have been rough. They're kind of tear downs, rebuilds, and that's kind of what you're going through now. And Nebraska, for at least a game and a half there was kind of close, but that's without an offense. So. It's just a lot to dissect there, but I hope anybody, the Callahan comparison, stuff like that, way too early for anything like that.
Yeah, especially because of just the sea change that Callahan represented. Nebraska had an identity that it probably needed to move away from it to some degree. Callahan did that, but that was culture shock at this point. We don't know what Nebraska's identity is, outside of dysfunction. And Matt Rule, what he's done is turn that chaos, that dysfunction back into some semblance of order, especially like at Baylor. 4470 on the text line says, it's frustrating as a Husker fan to watch so many other first-year coaches succeed, and we've likely had more first-year coaches in the last 20 years than all of them, yet we can't get any of them to turn the corner. And that's part of the frustration, right? It's been someone else's turn every time. It seems like, you look at Leipold, even what Chris Kleiman did in year 1 was better than what we've seen in the heights he's taken Kansas State to. Obviously, the comparison with Dion, stuff like that. Brett Bielema turning Illinois around to some degree. Jeff Brom in Purdue, they had a little bit of a run when they got going before.
Sonny Dykes.
Sonny Dykes.
One of the most surprising things you could see.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it is definitely frustrating to sit here in Husker Lane and see it happen for other programs, but not Nebraska. I totally hear all these people and the frustration with Matt Rule. I get it. The chatter in the offseason too is, remember, Auburn was supposedly after him. That's another program that can pay, that has some football success and history that you're going to have to pay a little bit more for. You can go back and forth on, was the length of time right? Was the money right? If you had to pay him that much, was it really worth it? We don't know. We're 2 games in. Again, we thought we knew what we signed up for. Okay, let's not throw the baby in the bathwater out quite yet. It's frustrating. I get it. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm looking at it through scarlet and cream tinted glasses. I'm fully willing to admit that, but that would be a departure from the normal Husker hater that I've been called during On the Block multiple times in, the last week and a half here. So maybe I'm just not as emotional or as invested as some of these other people are, but I'm willing to say patience is okay. And some of the fixable stuff, the fact that it transcends coaching staffs, that's the mind-boggling part, right? Like, DP and J were having that discussion, and this is where I think we can turn the page after the break with some of the specific players, especially the quarterback position. Matt Rule was asked about that. So let's take a break here. Let's hear from the head coach. What did he have to say about his team? What did he have to say about his quarterback? We'll get to that as we continue postgame here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any backyard landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627. The dog days of summer are here. Is your yard in need of a touch-up as we head into the fall season? August, September, and October are the months for aeration, and Penner Sprinkler and Lawn is the place to call to get the job done right. If you're noticing any issues with your sprinkler system through the hot summer months, they're always a call away, and they're already scheduling installs for sprinkler systems for next year and all other lawn care needs. Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn today at 402-413-1215.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy? It's Planet Fitness. Now through September 13th, join for just $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. Plus, with free fitness training, most clubs open 24 hours. Everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th. See Home Club for details.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturday, NFL Sunday, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Babe, pack your bags. We're going to Vegas.
Vegas?
We just got the estimate from the wedding caterer, and we're going to have to elope.
Actually, Members Owned Credit Union is offering no-fee home equity lines of credit. We can borrow what we need with equity from the house.
Wait, so we can keep the bacon wrap dates for the cocktail hour?
We can keep the bacon wrap dates. From wedding bells to trekking the globe and everything in between. Capture your dreams your way with a no-fee Members Owned Credit Union home equity line of credit. Learn more at membersownedheloc.org. Limitations may apply. Equal housing lender.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Hey, it's Chad of the Nutrition Authority inviting you to stop in and check out the all-new complete post-workout recovery, CPR. CPR is ideal for anyone who works out or competes and wants to maximize results. CPR can only be found at Nutrition Authority. Stop in today and try a free sample or visit us at mynutritionauthority.com.
For many Nebraskans, fall means cooler weather and longer days that include running kids around, cheering for your favorite teams, and long days at work. The hours on your feet can really add up and give unnecessary pain and discomfort. At Fleet Feet Lincoln, they help find the shoes and inserts you need with their Fit machine, which takes a 3D image of your feet. If you're having trouble finding the right fit, visit Fleet Feet Lincoln at 76 Pioneers.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and they've scouted out the best Kawasaki side-by-side deals for you. Score up to $2,500 off the 2023 Kawasaki Terex and up to $1,000 off Mule Pro FX and FXCs. Whether you want to handle the toughest task in a trusted, tried-and-true mule or looking to dominate adventure in a Terex, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered with a large selection of Kawasaki side-by-sides in stock at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down. Offer valid 9/30/2023, subject to change without notice. Offer available on approved versus select unregistered Kawasaki vehicles. Model year exclusions apply. Cannot be combined with most retail financing.
America's been around since 1776. That's nothing. America's still just learning how to party. The Irish? The Irish have been doing it for thousands of years. Party the Irish way at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket. They've got your favorite Irish beers on tap, along with all the local and domestics. Plus great house cocktails, a huge selection of Irish whiskey, and the best Irish pub food. See the full menu with special online at McKinney'spub.com. Or just head down there. McKinney's Irish Pub at 7th and P in the Haymarket.
It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week, and right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker Highway. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of tons of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
College football in Lincoln, America. The time has come. Start your game day off right with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show. Join the Ticket Crew as they bring you all the coverage you need to get you ready for the action. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, powered by Sunbelt Rentals. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador. Select Plumbing. Jimmy John's, Lincoln Wall-to-Wall and Spirits, Fleet Feet, yours cheese spread on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Tanner and Grill, Big Recap, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
More post-game coverage of Nebraska and Colorado coming your way here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Austin Norman, Jake Bacco, and Harrison Arns with you. Carter Longy plugging away in back. All right, Husker fans, here's your good news segment. Here's your hope. Northern Illinois at home trails Southern Illinois 14-0 early third quarter.
Yes.
Watch out. So there you go. Keep that in mind as we prognosticate Nebraska and Northern Illinois here on the station throughout the next week. Okay. Jeff Sims, the story. especially in the first half. You knew Matt Rule was going to be asked about it. The conversation, I'm sure, not just on Twitter, but across Husker Nation, even nationally with all the eyeballs on this game, was how much more does Jeff Sims have in him? How many more mistakes does he have before Nebraska goes to a different option? Here's Nebraska head coach Matt Rule on that very question.
There was never a conversation about taking Heinrich out. Even with the cadences, I can't tell you yet. Yeah, there's never thought of putting Heinrich in. We have some plays for him, that we were going to potentially utilize. So he might have been getting ready for one of those things. I think, for me, I won't be able to really comment, truly, because it's such a big deal to comment on the quarterback, right? So we know globally it's too many turnovers, but in terms of what exactly went wrong, was the center late with the snap, was the motion. I have to go back and look at those things. And then we had some good drives. You had a penalty all of a sudden, and had nothing to do with the quarterback. So for us, I think if you look at the year so far, I think we're probably taking one ball away, right? And we're 2 now, right at the end of that game, but so we're -6, and that is sort of the story that we've been trying to fix, and so I haven't gotten it fixed yet, and I'm going to keep working until we get it fixed.
7 turnovers in essentially 6 quarters for Jeff Sims. The Anthony Grant one not on the quarterback. No conversation about replacing Jeff Sims. On the one hand, you can look at it and say they made the right decision. Look what Jeff Sims did to start the third quarter, right? He rips off that 57-yard touchdown run. I don't know how Colorado didn't see quarterback draw coming there. I thought it was very obvious.
No, we saw even if you're watching the game, the play-by-play comment, they're kind of calling it out. It's like they're playing 2 safeties deep on a very obvious Nebraska run the ball situation. So again, Colorado kind of played in Nebraska's favor, understanding we were going to run the ball, and then that QB draw, that was just perfect play call against the defense. It's not set up.
On the flip side, you look at the continued mistakes, but then their hand is forced. Jeff Sims taken out of the game, gets rolled up on a little bit. We'll see if it's a serious high ankle sprain. That's the initial report is high ankle sprain, which take longer than the lower ankle sprain. It's higher up. There's typically more swelling involved in that. Sometimes even a procedure if the swelling doesn't go down. Bach, we'll start with you. Were you on team bench Jeff Sims after 3 turnovers? Do you understand the decision to leave him in?
I unfortunately understand the decision to leave him in. I mean, I get it. I mean, I wouldn't mind taking him out for a series to kind of calm him down, maybe see if Harburg could provide a spark of some sort. And I certainly would have done it, maybe even without him getting hurt late in the game, just to see again if he get anything out of the backup quarterback. Unfortunately, this was a problem and a concern I had coming into the year, is that I don't know if Harburg and Purdy are necessarily too competitive in the quarterback race with Jeff Sims. Now, Jeff Sims, I mean, you can't consistently turn the ball over like this. So, I mean, you could have a scenario where you can bring in one of those backups, get less pop from the offense, and maybe be less turnover prone. But it's not like we haven't seen these guys, and we want to see them, more extensively to really have a fair deal of who they are. But we saw Purdy last year. Unless he took a significant step up, then you're not going to get a whole lot more out of that offense. Harburg is young for one, but the other, they saw him in the spring game. He's like 2 of 9, can run at times, and even in the spring game took bad sacks. So I just don't think those guys are necessarily ready. Even, and I know a lot of talks about Casey Thompson right now, even Logan Smothers. Yeah, I'd plug him in, but you kind of just are where you are right now.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think, part of the reason too, why they weren't gonna take out Jeff Sims, as you said it right, it's pretty clear Colorado wasn't even set up for it, but we were gonna run the ball. Even if Nebraska was out there with Jeff Sims and weren't a spread set, that was just a decoy. It was pretty clear at that point with the turnovers going on, Nebraska was just gonna run the ball. So I think in their mindset, it's like if we're gonna plug Harburg or Purdy in, that's just a disadvantage. If we're running QB draw, we're just gonna try to get Jeff Sims, keep it out of the air. The fumbled snaps, the bad handoff to Gabe Ervin, and that's like doesn't fall under him, but again, I think that should have been Sims' turnover. If you're going to hand that ball off, that's your job as quarterback. You got to put that in the pocket, and he's got to have it. You can't just kind of halfway let it out there and kind of let him grab it. So again, that stuff, I'll ask you guys as a coach. It's not like I don't think he's doing this in practice. Sims isn't, fumbling snaps in practice. I'd imagine. Where do you go from here? Do you just kind of roll out next week, hoping those things go away? That's a curious one for me to fix, because that is unique. I don't really ever see that watching college football that consistently. He's just really shooken up, it looked like.
It kind of feels like yips to some degree, like there's a lot of pressure and he knows it. I don't want to say it's disinterest or, lack of involvement or engagement. It might be. Maybe Jeff Sims thinks this is just a little pit stop, for 1 year. and he's off, that would be a problem. But I'm glad you asked that question because that's a lot of the conversation. Where does Nebraska go next week? To me, I'm fascinated to see how Jeff Sims' injury is talked about and handled this week.
Mm-hmm.
If it is actually a high ankle sprain, I doubt Jeff Sims is ready to go by next Saturday. And I think that these next couple games are games that even if he can play, you sit him down. If you want to make a run, you still think he's your best option by the end of the year. You sit him the next 2 weeks, maybe the next 3, even against Michigan, put the sacrificial lamb out there, bring him back maybe for Illinois because it'd be a short week for everyone else, extended rests for Jeff Sims. But the flip side of that is, say it wasn't an ankle injury. They were covering for him. They were going to take him out. They had seen enough anyways. To me, you start him against Northern Illinois because this is supposed to be a confidence-building game, right? A lesser opponent you're supposed to beat. You don't bench him in a game like that. That's a game that you can get him in there, get his confidence back, give him that rhythm, especially throwing the ball. So despite as bad as he's looked, if he's healthy and available, ready to go, I think the move is you start him against Northern Illinois.
Well, I do. I think that part of it too is just it's so early in the season, and if you give up on your quarterback a game and a half into the season, you really put your whole team kind of in this rocky. Like you've been guiding them along this way of this is our guy, this is one of our leaders, this is our quarterback, and then you kind of I don't want to say have a short leash because it's a lot of turnovers, but again, I think it was pretty clear that he won the quarterback job. So to make that move would be a bit rattling to your own team. At the same time, again, this is not like this week. It was getting the pitch or the snap.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that last week, but it's consistently turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the coaches did a better job of not necessarily making him throw passes that were a little bit more dangerous. He still kind of put some in some dangerous places and obviously stared down his receiver when he did get the interception. But I thought they did a little bit better job of that. But it really is, I mean, as they move forward, you're really going to have to manage that. And that's why I think this offense is just limited. And it's not just Sims. Like he's going to get a brunt of it as long as he continues these turnovers. But they don't have game-breaking players on the perimeter. They don't necessarily have him at running back. I think Irvin's fine, but he's not going to break off a 60-yarder very often.
Mm-hmm.
Ramirez got a 44 1-yard late there against the backups. He could do that somewhat occasionally, but this offense is just limited. I don't know if they can pass deep. I don't know if their pass protection's there. Today, the guards had more of a problem than the tackles.
Utofsky got toasted a couple times.
Yeah, Piper's kind of having penalty problems. There's still a lot of it's going to be on Sims, but this offense is limited from the beginning, and they need some sort of something that can be pose a threat. And Sims, while you don't like his passing game and you don't like his turnovers, he at least poses a threat with his legs.
1255 on the text line here is giving us some interesting stuff to chew on. First of all, I don't think that we're saying that the great athlete at quarterback is the way to go. I think what we're saying is Harburg hasn't shown a lot and Purdy didn't show a lot last year, right? Not wanting to go to them isn't because Jeff Sims is so great and so athletic, he's the best shot. It's because not just we haven't seen those guys, but I feel like if they had shown more, they would have played by now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I personally have been off the Heinrich Harburg train since he got to Lincoln. But again, think what you will of him. We'll get to his performance in just a sec. What was he if not Nebraska high school's version of Jeff Sims in high school?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the offense he was running. I don't know what his decision-making has been like. But again, big arm, run-first quarterback with all the tools, raw as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's just Jeff Sims that looks different. I mean, they're very similar players. And we know what Chubba Purdy is. We've seen it. I mean, Heinrich's the clear number 2 now, according to Matt Rule. We won't play that clip just because it comes down to Chubba got banged up, wasn't in the competition nearly as much. So, yes, it's probably going to be time to give those guys a look. But if Jeff Sims' problem is making decisions in the heat of the moment, you at least give him that chance against less pressure to see if he can do it against Northern Illinois and against Louisiana Tech, right? There aren't good options, right? Let's just blanket that right now. There are no great options. There aren't even good options for Nebraska football quarterback right now, right? It's not a good comparison to have. But taking that in mind, let's move off of Jeff Sims. We saw Heinrich Harburg for a couple drives. Harrison, how do you assess what little you saw of him in this game?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of, like you said, he has some of the same skills as Sims. He's good at kind of breaking out, getting some quick runs. But for me, it's always just the accuracy for him. It's the same problem. It's like you said, we're just, our quarterback room as it sits right now, it's kind of a little bit of the same talent. with Sims being the most athletic. Skill set, not talent. With Sims being, probably the most athletic out of all of them. So again, Harburg's fine. He's good as number 2, but I'm still at the point next week, confidence builder. You have to play him. And if things do go south, then it's clear Harburg's the number 2. But yeah, I think out of him, you're just kind of get more of the same. You're still not going to have that explosive playmaker. Like Bach was talking about, you hope Ramir Johnson, he's kind of one of the guys to me that if you're going to call out who our explosive playmakers are, you're looking at Sims and you're looking at Ramir Johnson. Gabe Irvin's going to be consistent. But those two guys, if you want to get those explosive plays that can really, flip the momentum, I think you just kind of have to have them out there. If things go south, then you're going to have to move on. But again, these are confidence building games. You got to roll with Sims. Harburg, you see what he looks like. He played okay today, but nothing that's going to move the needle. Nothing that you saw. It's like, that's what we need. Nothing moved the needle for me. We just did more of the same things. He didn't fumble snaps, I guess. So if that's what you're ruling, then he's your guy. But nonetheless, I think that's just where our room's at. You got to give it to Sims next game and go from there. Confidence building game, like you said.
I want to say I admire the text line's confidence and just understand thinking that there is a right answer, because there isn't, right? The text line seems convinced that the only right answer is to bench Jeff Sims. They're asking, how much worse could it possibly get? Do you really want to know the answer to that question? Have we not fallen far enough, right? I'm a Royals fan. I go back to this quote basically every week with that team, and I'm starting to get there with Huskers athletics, really. Never say it can't get worse. That's right. Never say it can't get worse, right? Here's the thing. It probably wouldn't, but probably not getting worse isn't the same as there's no way it can't get worse.
Well, last year we went through it with Purdy, and I don't want to beat a bunch up with Purdy, but again, it's just a bad showing, and it got worse. He was in the game. It didn't feel like it could get worse, but he just had a really rough stretch of games. And again, like Bach's saying, if you're starting to shake your team around this much, how important are those single digits if you're benching, your quarterback game 2 and you got your single digit, sitting on the bench. Now, I'll agree with the text line. If you think they should have benched him for a drive possession, I'm with you there. That's what I've done. Calm him down. Taking him out of the game, that's one where I'm just going to trust the coaches. I'm not at every practice. If they thought those quarterbacks had something that they could offer that changed the momentum, that was a different skill set that could maybe throw Colorado off, they've seen it. They would have probably figured it. Satterfield's probably got a higher IQ for football than I do. Think he would have found a way to get him out there. But the fact that they played Sims, again, it kind of tells you where the room's out right now for everyone.
Well, and to me, it just reminds me of 2020, that offense with Adrian Martinez. They eventually benched him. They got fed up. They tried, and it was Luke McCaffrey. And, we all know how that turned out. Luke McCaffrey's playing wide receiver now at Rice because he's not a quarterback. And you can have different kind of analogies there, but ultimately that's kind of how I see it. And Sims isn't near as good as Adrian Martinez at this point in his career. So, and that's where the comparison doesn't match, is that 2020 offense was really bad. I mean, again, couldn't run the ball up the middle, couldn't pass the ball down the field, so very limited in what they could do. Average 23 points per game. I'm not sure if this offense gets there, because as much as we talked about limited weapons that Adrian had to work with, that team did have Dedrick Mills, it did have Wan'Dale Robinson, and it did have Austin Allen, Travis Vokolek. Those guys aren't there for Nebraska either. And so, again, there's just this has a long way to go. You're going to have to win a lot of defensive battles as far as like a fix to make this offense average 23 points per game. Even that, it almost seems, it just seems like a lot. It just seems like a lot. And I don't think a simple switch to a quarterback that, again, just wasn't necessarily competitive in the quarterback race to this point is going to do it. It's a hopeful answer. It's a quick answer to hope to spark something. And I think they will get to a point this year that they're going to have to try it. Mm-hmm. But, I don't blame them necessarily for it not being at this point at halftime down 13-0 when you're still in the game.
It does raise the question of just how valid the quarterback competition was to some degree. If Casey Thompson was shown the door, and it seems like Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield really locked on Jeff Sims as their guy pretty early on in the process, that can definitely be called into question. That's definitely fair game. The talent evaluation, what were they looking for? But I think the decision to go after Jeff Sims, I think it makes a lot of sense given what we know about Matt Rule and what was the conversation in Carolina. Didn't get to pick a quarterback. Mm-hmm. Coming to Nebraska, he had the chance to pick his guy. He knows Jeff Collins, the guy that recruited Jeff Sims at Georgia Tech, respects him, fell in love with the physical tools, right? And this is developmental staff, right? Some guys are going to take the raw athleticism and develop. Other guys, they're going to take the under the radar gems and try to teach them, again, the technique, right? To me, it was Matt Rule, Marcus Satterfield betting on their ability to develop this athlete into a quarterback. It makes sense if you follow their thought process. You can disagree. That's fine. I think we're starting to see that maybe it wasn't the right choice. But given what we heard about Matt Rule, the decision to go with Jeff Sims flows in line with where he was and what he's done before.
Yeah, and that's what they did too. Part of their losing records at Temple and at Baylor is understanding the situations they go in. I will say this, I don't give him as much as a passer at Temple. He did go to a different conference, which can be kind of tough. But Steve Adazio used the Temple job the year before to get the Boston College job. Not necessarily that they did well. It was really 2 years ago prior to that they did well. But in any case, they did play a lot of young players. And so you're perfectly correct about, kind of the development, their own guys, all that sort of thing. And, it might kind of turn to what part of the problem is. They had a lot of quarterbacks when they got here. They took all those guys off and they kept all the same one, to Harrison's point, with the same skill set. And so this is the offense and the kind of the skill set that they envision. And, they're going to take their lumps as they go about it. I don't think there's any question about it. Casey Thompson would have given, Nebraska, could be 2-0 at this point. This game, I think, ended up being more of a blowout than probably it should have been. It was 13-7.
Looked worse for the defense, but also better for the offense, the final score.
Yeah, that's right. So it's kind of confusing. But ultimately, we watched Casey last year. We know that he probably would have kept you in these games or made him closer. But at the same time, too, you did go 4-8 last year under Casey. So all this, acting like he's Doug Flutie or something is also probably not fair to the current situation that we have with that quarterback either.
Absolutely. And we got to go to break here. But real quick before we go to break, I come on dive into this the next one. I want you guys to think about this, what our strongest room on the offensive side of the ball is, and how maybe potentially Nebraska can work that side of the room to maybe just make an impact. Because, again, I think we're just at this point on offense, we're looking for answers. It's one of me where we're kind of looking around trying to figure this thing out. You want to run the ball and be serious with that. And, again, it was working in the first half. Start falling behind on turnovers. You can't do that anymore. You got to look somewhere else. So we'll dive into that on the next segment. Again, you guys can always join the show, 402-464-5685, or Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Allo Channel 951. This is the Husker Postgame Show. We'll catch you guys on the other side.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at the Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturday, NFL Sunday, our Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben sandwich or the prime rib French dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
All right, Rico, let's do the final checklist before we head out. We have a lot of people coming to the tailgate today. I'm ready. Burgers? Check. Chips? Check. Icy cold beer? Check. Except this one. I'm forgetting something. Wait a second. Where's the Führer's cheese spread? I can't stop eating it. Rico, relax. I always pack extra. It's the biggest hit of the tailgate.
For the best appetizer, party dip, and tailgate snack, load up on Führer's cheese spread today. Found in most local grocery stores.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family. And as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. This week, they have your tailgate and barbecue needs. Enjoy all natural, fresh, boneless, skinless chicken breasts for just $1.99 per pound. USDA choice boneless beef chuck roast for $3.99 per pound. And Hickory smoked bacon for just $3.99 per 16-ounce package. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week. And right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of tons of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
Not the tagline, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big Planet Fit? Now Through September, just $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. Plus, with free fitness training, most clubs open 24 hours. Everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September. See Home Plus for details.
Hot tub season is here, and to celebrate, Bonsall Pool and Spa is having a Labor Day sale so good that they're offering it for the whole week. Purchase a new Highlight Collection or Limelight Collection spa and receive a free step and cover lifter from now until September 11th. Stock will go fast, so hurry in and claim your new spa today. It's the Labor Day sale from September 1st through the 11th at Bonsall Pool and Spa at 33rd and Highway 2 or at bonsallpool.com.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts and the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts and service teams are ready to serve you this planning season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Babe, pack your bags. We're going to Vegas.
Vegas?
We just got the estimate from the wedding caterer, and we're going to have to low.
Actually, Members Home Credit Union is offering no-fee home equity lines of credit. We can borrow what we need with equity from a house.
Wait, so we can keep the bacon wrap dates for the cocktail hour?
We can keep the bacon wrap dates. From wedding bells to trekking the globe, everything in between. Capture your dreams your way with a no-fee Members Own Credit Union home equity line of credit. Learn more at membersownhelac.org. Limitations may apply. Equal housing lender.
Getting experience to jumpstart a meaningful career can be difficult, and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn a stipend and education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsors Bar and Grit, Vinny Creek, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and Action Plumbing, AC and Electrical. On 93.7 The Ticket FM.com.
Austin Bach Harrison back with you here on the 93.7 Husker Postgame Show. Again, if you have any thoughts on what you saw, what you heard from Nebraska football today, 402-464-5685. Give us a call or a text. Harrison, I'll answer your question that you posed before break. Which position group on Nebraska's offense is the best? Excuse me. The whole offense is something to sneeze at. Excuse me.
Can't answer that one.
Yeah. I want to say tight end, so that's unexciting because they haven't done a whole lot. Borger had a couple catches today. Good for Thomas Fedoni, finally getting on the board with a couple catches, including a touchdown. Running backs, I mean, you were saying, and I agree, Irvin's consistent, Johnson solid, not much past that. Offensive line still has questions. I don't think the offensive line has been the problem these first couple games.
Definitely not.
So I guess I would rank them if we're going to do a ranking. I would go tight ends, backs, line, receiver, quarterback.
So that's scary. The reason I asked that, it kind of scares you a little bit when you get to the bottom two, your wide receivers and your quarterback. It kind of tells you again, if you're Nebraska and you get behind, it's just not going to bode well for you. We're not a group right now, and that's what's with Matt Rule. This whole thing, if I have one kind of issue with the whole process so far, it's the commitment to the run. Against Minnesota, I still don't understand why Gabe Irvin wasn't there in the second half to kind of finish things out for you, especially in a game that's close, that looks like it's going to be who gets the ball last. And sure enough, Minnesota walk-off field goal. This game works well in the first half. I understand you're playing from behind, but you're still close enough to where you just got to stick to that. I just don't think you ever want to be in a position where, if you're just being honest, right now, looking at that room, your greatest strength to me is going to be running that ball, and everything you can do to keep that, the style of the game in your favor, to not play from behind, and don't elect to play, from behind. Again, you're only down by 2. You don't have to elect to get away from the run game, but they decide to do so anyway. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. Bach, what about you out in the short segment here?
Yeah, I don't know how many touches Gabe Irvin had in the second half, because it did seem like they went away from him and he was working So, that's interesting. I'd agree with you guys. I mean, I'd probably go running backs over tight ends, but part of that is I want to see more from Anthony Grant. I'm kind of dumbfounded that Anthony Grant gets one fumble and doesn't get a play this game, and Jeff Sims can turn the ball over 8 times. And part of that is understanding that the depth at running back is closer. That competition is closer. So if you cop up the bill, you're going to get the other guys the balls. But to me, that is a guy that had almost 1,000 yards rushing last year, and you could see him be explosive. It's tough to get down behind the line of scrimmage. At least the first part of last year, fell off quite a bit in the second part. So I don't know which Grant you're getting, but for an offense that needs a spark, for him not to get a touch seems a bit odd to me.
I agree, and I'm glad you went there. I think let's take our break, get to the top of the hour, and then let's hear what Matt Rule has to say about his offensive coordinator and the play calling. Handpicked him. Marcus Satterfield has worked with Matt Rule multiple times before. That's another key relationship to analyze, right? The quarterback's a big piece of it, as is the offensive coordinator. I'm with you on the issues at Minnesota. I think those are worth revisiting because they can pop up again. But let's hear what Matt Rule has to say about his offensive coordinator. We'll do that when we get back from break. You're listening to some post-game coverage of Nebraska and Colorado here on 93.7 The Ticket.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure. Starter Heyman Jewelers. Link in Grand Island or Heyman.com.
Brown Shoe Fit has all types of shoes for you to excel this fall. Check out their large variety of tennis shoes and dress shoes in brands like Brooks, Hoka, Merrell, On, and many more. Browns has the local professionals to get the proper fit, aided by their high-tech foot scanner by Atrex. Stop by Brown Shoe Fit today, just south of 6060 Keaton, or check out their options online at brownshoefitco.com.
Dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
Muchachos has been Lincoln's leader for New Mexican barbecue for a few years now, and they've expanded into Omaha. That's right, you can get all your favorites like pipeline burrito, 3 meats, rice, beans, queso, and crushed chips, or any of their great taco options in Lincoln or Omaha. Plus, they want to give back, as the Malachi Coleman Giverito, a 2-meat hatchback burrito, gives proceeds to the Fly Like Kai Foundation for the Lincoln Foster Care community. Stop by Muchachos in Lincoln at 11th and L, or in Omaha at 1258 South 13th Street.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM for 93.7 The Ticket.
It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week, and right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker Highway. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of tons of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group are Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
Hey, it's Chad, the Nutrition Authority, inviting you to stop in and check out the all-new complete post-workout recovery CPR. CPR is ideal for anyone who works out or competes and wants to maximize results. CPR can only be found at Nutrition Authority. Stop in today and try a free sample, or visit us at mynutritionauthority.com.
Bagels and Joe is the perfect place for breakfast or lunch in September. Try their new pizza bagel with pepperoni and fresh mozzarella cooled on a sun-dried tomato bagel. And try their caramel latte, as 10% of proceeds from that drink will go to the Great Plains Trail Network. 4 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Seward. Bagels and Joe. At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
Our sense of smell can tell us a lot. Fresh baked apple pie, good. Cigarette smoke, bad. But what happens when bad things smell good? When secondhand vape smells like strawberries, or mangoes, or cotton candy, and dangerous chemicals have a disguise. That's when people let their guard down around secondhand smoke, even though it's all full of harmful chemicals.
Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Babe, pack your bags. We're going to Vegas.
Vegas?
We just got the estimate from the wedding caterer, and we're going to have to elope.
Actually, Members Owned Credit Union is offering no-fee home equity lines of credit. We can borrow what we need with equity from the house.
Wait, so we can keep the bacon wrap dates for the cocktail hour?
We can keep the bacon wrap dates. From wedding bells to trekking the globe and everything in between. Capture your dreams your way with a no-fee Members Owned Credit Union home equity line of credit. Learn more at membersownedheloc.org. Limitations may apply. Equal housing lender.
America's been around since 1776. That's nothing. America's the party. The Irish? The Irish have been doing it for thousands of years. Party the Irish way at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket. They've got your favorite Irish beers on tap, along with all the locals and domestics. Plus great house cocktails, a huge selection of Irish whiskey, and the best Irish pub food in town. See the full menu and list of specials online at mckinneyspub.com or just head down there. McKinney's Irish Pub at 7th and P in the Haymarket.
Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinny Creekat, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rolling along with post-game coverage here in Lincoln. Appreciate the fellas out in Boulder for their work today. Austin Norman, Jake Bachov, and Harrison Arons with you here in the 93.7 The Ticket studios in Lincoln. Nebraska loses 36-14 at the hands of Colorado. Jumping into a couple more conversations here before we hit the road. We're talking about the offensive coordinator, the game plan, everything that goes into that. All week we were talking about, how Nebraska needs to run the ball. That was Nebraska's advantage. We talked about the running backs, the offensive line quite a bit. Here's Matt Rule on what his team's game plan was against the Buffs today.
Yeah, they weren't going to let us run him as much. They were running, they were kind of mischarging, it felt like, from the field. I had to go back and look at it, but bring in the free safety, and they thought we were in that play. But early on, we had 75 yards rushing in the first half. We were handling the ball off the game and getting some good runs. I kept thinking, if we could stay on the field, if we didn't have those turnovers, the dam would break, and that was kind of our game plan, keep them off the field, So when it was a little bit further behind, we knew we'd have to open up a little bit with him running it.
And it makes sense. Nebraska, I think, for the most part in the first half, again, aside from the turnovers, which are the end result, they matter. You have to keep it in mind. Pretty much every play, the process before the boneheaded turnovers was solid. I didn't mind the game plan today. Last week against Minnesota, you have the lead, you throw those 3 passes in a row, that one possession, you have Anthony Grant in there. I didn't like the game plan as much against Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Today, guys, I thought the game plan was solid. And aside from those, drive-ending plays, I actually liked the process from Marcus Satterfield today.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Before the game, to me, as keys for Nebraska to win the game, everyone likes to play couch coach a little bit. And for me, it was pretty easy. Get pressure on Sanders on defense. Okay, you did that part. Check. Offense, run the ball and just keep possession, eat clock. And they were starting to do that. But again, it was just the turnovers. I had zero problems with how the game was officiated. Towards the second half, that was kind of my problem. I thought you still could have stuck to it despite some of the turnovers. That's the only kind of wrinkle I put on the offense. But defensively, the game plan was solid. I thought that's exactly how you need to play against Colorado. Sanders is a guy that you'd rather, pressure him and just try to get there quick, because again, if you want to drop everyone back and give him time, he's going to do a good job just waiting for those wide receivers to scramble and eventually get open. He's done that last week against Minnesota. I think it was 30 for 35 when given a clean pocket. I'm curious to see what today's stats were. I'm sure it was the same, very similar. If he has a clean pocket, he's going to kill you. They did a good job getting a lot of pressure on him. Was it 7 or 8 sacks? I think what they finished up with. So perfect game plan on defense for me. I know what the score was, but hey, you spot him the ball on the 30, that's a field goal. You spot him the ball on it was 12 or 19 between, that's an easy 7 points. So defensively, I really had 0 problems with the game plan. Offensively, right idea in the first half. They got a little away from it. I can understand the reasoning behind it, but I just would have stuck to my guns.
Yeah, and I would have too. I mean, because I know even if you're down 2 possessions, if you start a shootout with Colorado, you're going to lose. And you know that the whole time. And I did feel at a certain point, like at the beginning, the run wasn't working all that well. They were getting like 1 or 2 yards, but they were sticking with it, and you were hoping they would. And then they really did start to pop some off with Irvin, and then kind of had to go away from it. At times, it was not just the fumbles, but a penalty or something would set them back to like 3rd. If you're 2nd and 6, and you go back to 3rd and 11 or whatever, then you've got to pass. So kind of understanding of that. But I would have liked to see them try to minimize that game a little bit longer. I do like the fact that at midfield down 3. This is something very small, but at midfield down 3 possessions, they go for it. Because I always like, if you have any chance at a game, I always like still putting it, they didn't go for style points at the end. They ended up giving up more points. And again, this game probably looked a little further than it needed to outside of that trash touchdown that they got at the end, the most joyless touchdown of Husker Nation ever. But in any case, I do like the fact that they went for that. I did think they gave up on the run a little bit early, considering they just have to know, regardless of where you are, if you're within 2 possessions, if it gets to 3 possessions, I understand it. But if you're within 2 possessions and you're court, and they were 13-7 about kind of early in that 3rd quarter, I would have just liked to see them stick to the run a little bit more.
Yeah, especially with the way the defense was playing, because again, even if you're going to eat a little bit of clock with that run game, you still had plenty of time. And again, your defense was doing well enough to get stopped, so you had a pretty good feeling you'd get the ball back. So it's, again, the clock to me was not an issue. The way your defense was getting stops, I had a pretty confident feeling that you're going to have chances to get the ball back, especially if you're giving that defense a rest, sticking to the run game, moving the chain slowly. Your defense is going to be well rested. Those stops should be a lot more likely. And again, we talked about it ad nauseum. The defense just gassed,
Saw that on 2020.
Yeah, and I don't know what you guys factor in elevation, but you're up there 5,000 feet. You can kind of scoff at that a little bit, but it does make a difference, especially when your defense is out there all day long. The guys just kind of wore out. So that's where I'm at. I really think the run game getting away from it. You don't want to be in a shootout with Colorado. I thought that should have been the game plan. Again, penalties are going to kill you too. Obviously, you're 2nd and long, 3rd and long. It's going to change things up, but should have stuck with the run game still.
And one of those 3rd and longs too was the drop by Alex Bullock that Jeff Sims actually made a nice throw on.
Yeah, that is, you say that there was a few nice throws that, again, receivers and tight ends, there's a few drops that, not all Sims should be accounting for everything that was bad today.
Regardless, everything on offense ends up reflecting on the offensive coordinator. Matt Rule was asked about the job that Marcus Satterfield has done. 24 points in 2 games isn't going to get it done, obviously, but here's Matt Rule on the job he thinks his offensive coordinator has done so far.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Sam. I think we're a good team. I really do. I think offensively, we're like, just kind of like a little bit of a shaky starting team. I mean, and obviously, the last 2 times being on the road, I mean, the wristband, and then sometimes we have to call a timeout because we're a little bit nervous about, wait, was this the right personnel? So, I mean, I feel like I listen to it. Sat's doing the right thing, getting the right plays and getting the right play calls in, and just sometimes from the signal there, we're having little things everywhere, right? And so that's what I have to get fixed. I have to go back now and look and just, again, you come in with a certain identity that you want. Hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And then I think guys have to settle down. Like at the very end of the game, ran a little speed option, pitched it to Ramir. He got about 10, 12 yards. We called that same play in the first half versus the same defense and didn't pitch it. You know what I mean? And so the plays are there. And so that's why, you won't get from me a sense of like panic, like, oh my gosh. It's more like, hey, I've got to get this team just to continue to just keep a little bit better. So I watched a lot. I'm like, hey, you ready to do this for another week with me? And they're like, yeah. So that's why, I stand here saying, we'll get it right. I mean, we'll get it right. But yeah, I think that's a really good observation. That's exactly how I feel.
Definitely some coach speak in there from Matt Rule about a guy that he trusts, that he's brought with him, a couple different times now in Marcus Satterfield. I tend to agree with the bulk of what Matt Rule is saying. I mean, you can see the outline of the offense. At the same time, coming into the year, Marcus Satterfield was a concern for me. We saw his offenses haven't been all that great. South Carolina took off at the end of last year when he wasn't the one calling plays. So this is a couple more games tacked on to a not overly impressive track record for Marcus Satterfield. But at the same time, I see what Matt Rule is saying. I think he has a legitimate point. It's not just sticking up for his guy, that sometimes you call the right play and it comes down to the guys on the field not getting it done.
Well, and that's why, again, I go back to, and I hate to keep doing it, but there's that 2020 offense was just, to me, that's when I say you're limited. When you can't throw the ball downfield, you can't establish something up the middle. And Nebraska didn't necessarily have that problem, but my point is they're very limited. So, you could have the best signal caller in the world. I don't know if you're going to average 30 points per game with this personnel. It's not a great job, but situationally, they did what they could. And looking back at the drives too, even I want to recant my giving up on the run, because a couple of their drives, I mean, they had the 12-yard loss on the Ramir Johnson scramble. I mean, that kind of set up the Alex Bullock's drop, but that was on 3rd and 16. So, you got to pass that one. Then they have the quarterback, Gabe Irvin and Sims fumble exchange on the next drive. And then all of a sudden they are down 29-17 because Colorado's scoring. So, I mean, I don't know. It's almost like it's almost kind of like an incomplete and unfair assessment, just because I don't know what you can do with the personnel and how it's kind of self-inflicting its problems. That's not necessarily the problem of the play calling. Now, I will say again too, to the point like you said last week, that's where I had a bigger problem with at times knowing your personnel and knowing time and in that game when to go for some of those shots and whatnot. But even then, there's a guy open on an interception in the end zone. So how much is that a play calling problem? I'm not sure. Now it is kind of interesting because as you see, the Colorado players had been saying that they're pretty offended by some of the stuff that Matt Rule said this offseason. And so it kind of depends on how you read into that. Part of that, it was probably Matt Rule says there's no celebrity coaches on staff. And, Deion Sanders is the best example of a celebrity coach. He went out and got, some names that are kind of interesting. That is one thing that we'll have to track, was always something people held against Scott Frost, and ultimately was probably a problem with him, is that he brought a lot of his friends along and not necessarily the best guys for the job. And without having played a game, that was a concern for me with Matt Rule. 2 games in, it's not any more of a concern, but it is something to track.
The other thing that I think stood out to me about what Matt Rule said there was we heard him 2 weeks ago say, I'm not worried about starting fast. I'm worried about finishing strong. Matt Rule then in that quote says, sometimes we don't get off to the best starts on offense. We're a little sluggish at the start. And that's the exact opposite of what we've seen the last couple of years, right? Think about Nebraska and scripted drives over the last 3 years. I mean, the first 15 plays.
Scott Frost deserves a crown. That's his crown. The scripted play to open the game. That was something we had with Scott Frost for whatever reason. He had that scripted drive that works just about every time.
And then nothing from there. Right. But then it's vice versa right now. So even when maybe you're better as the game goes on to some degree, you're worse at the start. And this is what I think we can take a break and come back to this and wrap up the show. If you're going to rely on your defense, you have to be able to get out to a fast start and play with a lead. Nebraska did that against Minnesota. It didn't work, but you didn't get out to a lead against Colorado. This defense isn't creating enough turnovers to help you catch up later in the game. If they're just going to be solid, you need to put points on the board early, put that game pressure on the other team. I want your guys' thoughts on that when we get back and we wrap up our postgame show next.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy? It's Planet Fitness. Now through September 13th. Join just $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. With over 2,400 stations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, plus free fitness training in most of 24 hours. Everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th. See Home Club for details.
Houses, they're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Blanker and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that you after the sale. Professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Blanker and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
Playing
Cover Crop, Stop Seed Shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
LES is hosting an EV Ride and Drive event at Haymarket Park on Sunday, September 24th. Attendees can sign up to test drive a variety of electric vehicles. Visit les.com/drive to learn more.
Brown Shoe Vet types of shoes for you to excel this fall. Check out their large variety of tennis shoes and dress shoes in brands like Hoka, Merrell, On, and many more. Browns has the local professionals to get the proper fit, aided by their high-tech foot scanner by Aetrex. Stop by Brown Fit just south of 66 Lincoln or online at brownshoefitco.com. At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
Getting experience to jumpstart a meaningful career can be difficult, and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn a stipend and education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcast Association and this station.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week, and right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker Highway. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roof project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
So I switched my insurance to State Farm, and get this. I talked to an actual State Farm agent who lives in my actual town. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town gave me actual help with the coverage I needed. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town who gave me actual help actually knows my name. And get this. They actually say it's called service.
Old school with DP and J.
You know, earning a shirt is a great honor. I mean, obviously you got coaches that haven't been here before. At the end of the day, they understand somewhat of what it means, and the majority of the guys, or the guys that got them, they must be doing something right. For me personally, you know, that was just something I never forgot, man. It was just when I was on campus, because I never envisioned myself doing anything until my senior year.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinny Krekak, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're putting a bow on a long day of football coverage here at 93.7. The Ticket been going in some capacity since 8 o'clock this morning out at Boulder in Boulder. Heard from Nick and Jay earlier. I'm Austin. He's Bach. Harrison with us as well. Carter was in taking your calls before. Any final texts, get them in 402-464-5685. Let's talk about the defense, guys. On the day, it gives up 454 yards, 36 points. Not great as well. But I said it this way. It looks worse, I think, for the defense in the final score than it actually was. How would you assess the defense's performance, Harrison?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. I think most people, if you watch the full game, you're going to be looking at that score. I said it earlier, but maybe you don't subtract 13 because you don't look like those drives look like. But if you give them the ball in the 30 and the 12 or 19, it's not a good outcome. They're likely to at least get 6 points there, right? All they have to do is not go backwards in your field goal range. So that right there, the turnovers constantly putting your defense in a tough spot. You're winded. I don't know if you factor your elevation. I'm going to give them a little bit of credence. I think you're playing that many snaps. I think it does factor in a little bit. You're going to start getting gassed, even if you're playing, at sea level. That many snaps in a game, constantly getting put out there. And again, to me, I think that is a big part. You get those unexpected turnarounds where all of a sudden the ball's on the ground and the defense has got to run on out there. That's a quick turnaround to get mentally ready, and that's a lot of momentum now you're going up against, right? Colorado's hyped. They get the ball back. Defense is scrambling to get on the field, get the personnel right, and getting ready to set up whatever counter, wherever that ball may be, is going to decide kind of how Colorado might want to attack you. So again, that's just tough positions time and time again. You saw it last week. They held on really well despite the turnovers, but this week, again, mentioned with Sanders, that's a team that you don't want to get in a shootout with. You give them that many opportunities. They are explosive. You knew some were going to happen, but that's just too many attempts. So defense played good. Really impressed. I talked about it before by Lenhart, true freshman. He's going to be a stud. Instead of before, keep recruiting that guy. Every year, you make sure he sticks around, do everything you can. But no, the defense, they got a lot of pressure. Even when they were bringing 3 or 4 guys, I was surprised. They were able to get back there. Only one all-out blitz that I was a little questionable on. But other than that, I thought the defense played well. I just flat out, they could have had some turnovers. You want to get that Iowa level, really change the game. But in terms of just giving your offense a chance, they did that.
Yeah. I think, kind of along those same lines, I think they've got a little bit of a ways to go before you are, what Minnesota has been the last couple of years, or an Iowa defense, or Wisconsin defense has been, that Big Ten West tough defense. But, and I don't know if they're ever going to turn into like a turnover creating defense.
Right.
But isn't that the point? Isn't that what Tony White wanted? Right. We have supposed to be a departure from what we saw from Eric Shenander. And it hasn't been. Again, it's been 2 games, so fine. But I think it's supposed to be.
I will say this, that defense, it's more effective on those newer quarterbacks. All that movement, that's a lot of it kind of masking it. So you kind of saw it work a little more efficiently against Minnesota, new quarterback. But a guy like Sanders, he's just not going to get confused. I think even if you're Iowa, I don't know if you walk away with the turn. I really am just that kind of confident. Sanders, he's not going to make a lot of mistakes for you to take that ball away. So that's kind of where I'm at on the turnovers for that game.
Well, I think you do have to give him credit too, because PJ Fleck said this after last week's game, and maybe it was covering for his own play calling there, but they basically all but gave up on the run and he said Nebraska's front is big, tough. They're going to be tough for anybody to run on. And Nebraska held Colorado to like 66 yards or something like that. 58, I can't remember what it was. 58 yards rushing. A lot of that's due to the sacks that they had, and they certainly got a couple big plays there late. But I mean, that was the story of the game for the defense. The defense got tired. They did give up points, I think, on 7 of the last 8 drives, maybe 7 of the last 9 after, but at some point 7 out of 8 drives there from Colorado. So it does, it has to get better. Giving up 450 yards, that shouldn't be seen as a victory. But it was enough to keep Nebraska in the game. If Nebraska had any semblance of offense, you're not getting those numbers. So, I think high scores for them. 8 sacks is a lot of sacks. I think almost the last time they got that many sacks was probably against Colorado. Year 1 under Scott Frost.
Saw the stat. The last time they had 8 or more was against Texas in that 2009 Big Ten championship.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so that's Sue, where Sue just dominated. Yeah. Okay.
Shout out Barry Turner. He had 2.5 sacks that day.
Okay.
I'm a big Barry Turner fan.
Yeah, Cam Lenhart, first freshman with 2 sacks in the game since.
That's right. Yeah, Barry Turner's getting some love today.
Yeah, to that point on the rush defense, 58 yards. But if you take out the sacks and also the -1 yard reverse from Jimmy Horn, they end up with 20 carries for basically right at 100 yards. So that's 5 yards a carry if you factor out the sacks and the quarterback run game that Colorado wasn't a part of. But this is where I think both sides are right, because I agree with you, Harrison, what you're saying about the number of snaps, right? We saw that In the Penn State win in 2020, right? Offense gets out to a huge lead. Defense is on the field the whole second half. They're hanging on for dear life. Saw a lot of that in 2021 in all those close games. The defense is playing well. It's giving it a shot. But there's just that one miscue. That's 100% accurate and 100% true. For Nebraska to take a next step and actually win a game, the defense might have to find another level. Because right now, this is a good defense. It's a solid defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great defense because you still allow 454 yards. You get one turnover and it comes at a meaningless point in the game. At some point, if you're going to take that next step, a Cam Lenhart has to remain consistent with pressure. You need a linebacker to start making plays. Force a couple fumbles. You still only have that one interception by Omar Brown. Quentin Newsome's a good player. Pick off a pass, right? Mm-hmm. Malcolm Hartzog, get back involved, right? Nebraska having to play so far off because they're so scared of getting burnt deep allowed Colorado to get a lot of those easy completions when they really got rolling. So Nebraska is a good defense, but I wonder if there's anything more in it.
I think there is absolutely more. I mean, some of that stuff's just small little tweaks. I mean, you look at kind of last week what you're saying. The defense does have a chance to kind of swing those games in your favor to victory. Obviously, you can't score the points. Well, you can, but it's obviously hard to do unless, you got that high turnover chain, kind of like Iowa does. But nonetheless, you kind of saw against Minnesota, right? There's a chance to win that game or at least really push towards Nebraska's favor. You're in the perfect defensive set in the end zone, and Hartzog, he just bites the wrong way. He has two guys inside towards the end of the game. All he has to do is stay on the outside. He knows he's got help. He just makes a miscue. They get the touchdown. And that really swings the game for Minnesota. Our offense, once again, wasn't doing a lot to help us win that game, but defense could have taken to another. That one miscue you saw really just kind of put the game away. And again, you saw that day with the blow by where, I believe it was Weavers who got that, or was it Travis Hunter on that one over the top when we went all out blitz?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Hunter, he gets that one again, just a miscue. And it's unfair to maybe possibly request your defense to do so much, but if you kind of want to be that playmaker to change the game and you want to be that elite recognized defense like an Iowa or Minnesota has been for the past 2 years, you can go both ways. You got to make that play.
A lot of missed tackles there, and again, I think it was the tiredness of being on the field so much that kind of caught up to him. But that was the difference between early in the game and kind of later in the game, is they were breaking off a lot of big chunk plays from missed tackles. But and I don't know whether the plus or minus, because it was such a plus early in the game, was that they had a lot of big third down stops, even on that end around that you mentioned. Made plays that Nebraska defenses just haven't been, you don't see them get off the field. Third down defense has been a problem for Nebraska at times in the past couple of years. So, I have a high level of faith to where this is going. And I think this is one of the more explosive offenses that they're going to play all year. I think when they go up against, I don't know how much this says about the Big Ten West or just about the rest of the country, but when they go up against, Illinois and Northwestern and Purdue's of the world, even Iowa, I think it's going to be tough for either team to get to 24 points.
I'm all huskered out. I got nothing more to add. I'm going to need a day to sit on it. Any residual thoughts from you guys?
To the next one. It's kind of where I'm at. I think, it's the weird part is it's just a lot of the conversations from last week. Defense looked promising. The offense turnover prone. I think that's what you're looking at again.
Well, and I was asked too, as you are every preseason, what the final record's going to be, and it's hard to predict that. But what I did say is it's more to me about improvement than predicting a record this year. I want to see this team get better, and there's a lot to build on the offense. So at least you've got that. But I do think that there's still a long ways to go. But they were in a game against the top 25 opponents for 3.5 quarters. They almost beat a 9-win team last week. It's not the sky's not falling as much as you might think it is.
Watch out, though. Northern Illinois also on upset alert. 14-11. Southern Illinois leads with about 4 minutes to go in DeKalb. For Bach, for Harrison, I'm Austin. It's been a blast. More ticket content comes your way maybe later today. If not, definitely tomorrow morning. Stay tuned. Thanks, y'all.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door.